Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
Rakuten is the smartest way to save money when you shop because you earn cash back at over 3,500 stores. Fashion, beauty, electronics, home essentials, travel, dining, concert tickets, and more. Your favorite stores like Lowe's, Levi's, and Nike pay Rakuten to send them shoppers. And Rakuten then passes on a part of that payment to its members as cash back. You're already shopping at your favorite stores. Why not save while you're doing it? It's a no-brainer. Membership is free and easy to sign up. Get the Rakuten app now and join the 17 million members who are already saving. Cashback rates change daily. See Rakuten.com for details. That's Rakuten. Your cashback really adds up.
Your weekly dose of romance and drama has arrived. Season 29 of The Bachelor is here, and Grant Ellis, certified hottie and former day trader, is trading his day job on Wall Street for a second chance at everlasting love. New episodes drop every Monday at 8/7 Central, bringing you fresh twists in Grant's journey to find his soulmate. This self-proclaimed mama's boy is all grown up and ready to invest his heart. Will his playful charm win over the house full of hopefuls, or will the competition prove too intense? From heartfelt moments to adrenaline-pumping dates, each week brings new surprises in the mansion. Will Grant find his perfect match or end up with a broken heart? Tune in every Monday at 8/7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu for new episodes of The Bachelor.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today on another edition of Crime and Sports. And we are nearing episode 400, a major...
Fucking believable.
Unbelievable, a major milestone. When we started this show, we had no goddamn inkling that we'd get 400 episodes. We were
It's
like,
unreal.
we could probably get a couple hundred and then we'll run out of athletes. And turns out the world of sports is way more full of, as we know from low-life scumbags, Jimmy, as we...
It is rot with them.
Rot with them. That's a little inside joke that we are...
John Walsh would be furious about all this.
About it. Be telling you all about his son and everything else. It's... Long story. Sorry, guys.
On a loop.
Off-air conversation that's leaking, and it's hilarious to us. So
he's a monster.
Thank you. You certainly want to check out. By the way, this week we're going to go back and do some old-timey stuff. We just got...
Oh, yeah.
We came right up to the second, really, right up until the last minute with our 4-part Gaza series and so now we need to go back in time a little bit and have some fun with some old-timey.
Sure.
Make sure to check out shutupandgivememurder.com. All of your merchandise is there, everything from coffee cups to skateboards to shower curtains.
Yeah,
you can get it all with everything you say. You, sir, may fuck off can be on your shower curtain.
On anything you want, really.
How wonderful is that? On a skateboard, on a hoodie. Get all that. You can have that and have a lot of fun with all that stuff. And, of course, get tickets for the Small Town Murder live shows for the rest of the year. If you're thinking about doing that, get them now because shows are selling out already. Yeah. Show in November is already sold out. So definitely get your tickets right now. Shut up and
San
give me murder.
Fran and Sacramento are
up first.
Nearing.
You guys are
they're
on
up first,
deck.
And they're nearing.
They are.
They're
April 5th
selling
and
very,
6th,
very well.
And they're selling well, so get your asses in there and come out and see us because I'll tell you what, our live shows are a fucking party. So let's do this. They're hilarious, and it's a lot of fun. So you also definitely want Patreon. Patreon.com/crimeinsports. You get all the bonus material there.
Whole thing,
Anybody $5 a month or above, that's all it is. A cup of coffee, a mere cup of coffee, or you can get a couple hundred back episodes to binge on immediately.
Choice is yours.
New ones every other week. I'm sorry, that's a better deal than a cup of coffee. That's
pretty outstanding.
We got that. Then it's 1 day's worth of coffee. Then you go right back to coffee the next day.
God.
So
It's going to last you so long.
Home coffee one day, and you got this. So there we go. This week, what you're going to get, because you get one Crime and Sports, one Small Town Murder. This week, what you're going to get for Crime and Sports, we're going to talk about a guy named Paul Sasso, who was a mafioso type who owned a football team.
Great.
Yeah, we did an owners like a bad owners episode basically of this, right. And this guy's story was so long. We said he's got to get his own episode because he was a gangster that owned a football team in the World Football League in the 70s, a 70s gangster too. Fun shit. Then for small town murder, we are going to talk about Natalia Grace, just because that shit is so weird.
Damn it.
Everybody, who's lying, who's not lying?
Yeah.
How does that dad have tears pop out of his eyes like that? I don't know how the hell he can do that. It's insane. The whole story is nuts.
Dueling documentaries.
And we'll talk about it. Yeah, it really is. And we'll get into it, what our opinions are. Not that counts for shit, but basically just try to recap this insanity. Patreon.com/crimeinsports. And you will get a shout out at the end of the show, of course, where Jimmie will mispronounce your name. Well, he wants to get it right. So there's all of that. While you're at it, listen to Small Town Murder and your stupid opinions as well. Because your stupid opinions, God damn it, is it funny?
God, it's going.
It's so funny.
Gangbusters.
So check that out. That said, let's get to it, everybody. Low-life scumbag of the week. And he is. This guy's a real... This guy's a lowlife. He's an old-timey lowlife. He works out perfect. Yeah, John Walsh would hate him. His name is Harold Homer Chase.
Oh.
And he's a baseball player whose middle name is Homer, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, my.
That's pretty awesome stuff. So Harold, he goes by Hal.
Yeah.
So everybody knows him as Hal Chase. And
I didn't know that was short for Harold. I guess it is short for Harold.
Yeah, Harold McRae, I know, the baseball player. Hal McRae is Harold McRae. And but then Harold Reynolds, you never hear him referred to as Hal. So I guess,
or Harold Ramis.
Or Harold Ramis. Yeah, he's never Hal either. I don't know. Maybe it's an old time.
Harry is short for Harold, isn't it?
I thought, I guess it could be, yeah. I never even thought about it. But
they're so lucky.
Some people
universal.
are just Harry, though.
Yeah, that's true.
They're not Harold. But then again, you're Jimmie and not James. So what the fuck are we going to do? Yeah, who knows? So
depends on your parents is what it is.
I think it is, yeah. Depends on, and your parents might not know shit either. That's the other thing. Right. It's not like the parents know exactly what to do and why. They might have just named somebody like an idiot. You never know.
Yeah.
So here we go. This is Hal Chase. His nickname is Prince Hal. That's what everybody called him. He was one of the most, at the time, considered by his peers to be the best first baseman in the history of baseball in the early 1900s.
Really?
Yes, he was from what I can gather, he was an athletic first baseman. He made diving plays and stuff like that. But we'll find out later, he wasn't even that good of a first baseman, statistically. He wasn't very good. He made a lot of errors. But this is also the time when the glove is barely a glove.
Yeah.
It's like a work glove you're wearing, basically, with, you know.
And the amount of guys with an actual accurate arm is probably a lot fewer than today.
Well, then they get the error if it's not. There's
that
rules
right?
for that. Yeah, there's rules for that. If it's in the dirt or if it's over their head, it's not the first baseman's error at that
point. So
point.
they got to call it catchable?
Yeah. They decide who fucked it up. Yeah, they have to do that to give the error. So, but we'll talk about that. He also has another nickname, not really a nickname, more of an alias, and we'll get to why he has an alias later on because he needs one, and that's Hal Schultz. He goes by sometimes. When when he needs to do things under the radar. That's what he does.
Okay. He's a low-life scumbag.
He's a low-life scumbag. Born February 13th, 1883.
Jesus.
Old fucking school. He's born in Los Gatos, California. I have no idea where that is even.
You got to drive through that. Maybe there's one in New Mexico.
I
know I've seen a sign for it.
Los Gatos, California. Imagine how few people there was in 1883 there, because in 1883, L.A. wasn't shit.
No.
So, I mean, San Francisco was the big California city.
Right. And that was way the fuck up there.
That was way up there, and that wasn't even that big, really. So,
no.
It's a lot.
It was just mostly mining.
Yeah, pretty much. So, especially later on after the earthquake, then it was interesting. So he ends up, Jesus Christ, man. His father's name is James Chase, but he goes by Edgar. So I don't know. You might as well just go by Edgar. He was a sawmill operator born in 1846. Okay. And his mother's name is Mary, born in 1844. He's got 3 brothers and a sister. His brothers are Albert, Clifford, and Edwin.
Yes.
And his sister's name is Jessie May.
What an 1800s family.
They are an 1800s family. The nicknames are the middle names on these kids. Albert's middle name is Duress. Duress. Like under.
Under.
Like being under some. And Clifford's middle name is Cavany. Cavanee. Cavanee.
What the fuck?
I have no idea what that is all about. So he got lucky with Homer, honestly, because that's the least weird out of all these. So looks like he was born when 1883. He looks like he is the youngest of all of these kids. So yeah, he's the baby, Hal.
Okay.
Now from what I saw, he was playing at like 14 years old. He was playing with the town's men's team.
Playing baseball with them.
Yeah, back then it was not like it is now. Like now, there's a way to get in the majors. You're either, you're either hitting home runs in the Dominican all the time, and they sign you when you're 16, or if you're an American kid, you gotta, you go through high school and you
Little League high school.
You're a big star in high school, and people scout you, and then you choose to go to college or get drafted by the majors, and there's a thing. Whereas up until really like the 1960s, there were still scouts going around watching Sandlot games and getting guys out of it. Yeah. Just Sandlot games, just not organized baseball, not like a And that was how I remember seeing the scouting report for Hank Aaron in 1940 something, and they found him on a Sandlot team because he didn't go to high school, so that's how they found him, was there. And
awesome.
So back then they looked everywhere for people, and baseball was huge, and it was a lot bigger in the small towns, even. That's the thing.
Because, I mean, it's easy to play. I mean, a glove, hard, a bat, a ball.
Yes, it's easy that way, yeah. The
equipment part of it is super easy.
18 people, as long as you got a glove, and you could even share gloves, both teams, as long as you have gloves.
You only need 9.
And you're batting a ball and you're set. So that's what helps. And back then, though, these were like, the town teams were like a big deal.
Sure.
Like the whole town would come watch when the other town was coming to play, and so it was a big pride thing. He ended up playing college baseball at Santa Clara University. So
is that right?
Yeah, that's funny because most guys back then went right into professional out of high school or out of the Sandlot. They would sign with a pro team and play in the minors or whatever, or play in whatever teams. He actually went to college, which is rare for an old-timey ball player.
Yeah.
I mean, even Jim Bouton's book in the 60s, he was talking about they would make fun of college boys back then all the time because he had gone to college and people would make fun of him for it. Wow. That he was a college boy and all this shit, and that's how it was. So
fucking grades and shit.
Imagine what it was like in 1900.
Yeah.
Like college.
What was a college in 1900?
I don't know, but I mean, half these ball players were illiterate back then. Like they didn't even, they were farm kids, half of them. Yeah. Most of them were farm kids that just, played ball their whole life. His coach was Joe Corbett, who was an ex-major league pitcher and brother of Gentleman Jim Corbett, the famous old boxer.
No kidding.
That was his high school. That was his college coach. Hal played second base a lot during this period, which is strange because he's left-handed.
Oh,
yeah.
That is weird.
How many left-handed?
You gotta turn hard.
How many lefty second basemen you see out there? They don't exist ever.
I mean, I guess that lends to like cutting off the home run or the third base guy, but
it's throwing it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Going the other way to like home base or home plate or to third base, but most plays are going to first base.
Exactly.
So that's a tough turn.
That's why it's sad. That's why you don't see left-handed second baseman, shortstop, third baseman, or catchers for that matter. That's only because when you're throwing somebody out, this is the stupidest reason why there's no left-handed catchers. There's more right-handed batters. That's why. There's more right-handed batters. Therefore, when you throw to second base to get a runner out that's trying to fucking run,
you need to be on the right side of him.
That you want to be on the open side because it's easier to get the throw off if the batter's not on your hand side. So that's why there's no left. How stupid is that?
That's
because nowadays half the batters are left-handed anyway. So what's the difference?
I mean, one way or the other, it doesn't matter.
I mean, guys know hitting left-handed is an advantage. So right-handed guys hit left-handed from the time they're kids.
Right.
Now, that's
and if you've got a lot of lefties, feels like a lefty catcher would be advantageous to get a runner at first base too, though, right? As long as the batter's left.
On a bunt.
Oh, there's that too.
On a bunt, a lefty would be very advantageous and much easier to throw because if you watch a catcher come out and get a bunt, he has to stop, crank his whole body to the right, set himself and throw. So it's a much harder throw for that guy.
Sure.
So I agree with that. Yeah, that's interesting. And then, obviously, pitching, it's just better to be a lefty because, A, the ball does weird shit, and second, it's so much easier to pick people off first base.
Sure.
It's just easier to hold people on first base because you never know what the guy's going to do. A righty, you can see him jerk his body around. Remember Andy Pettit's old pickoff move? He lifted his legs straight up, and then he could either step toward you at first or step toward the plate.
Right.
And you were fucked because you had no idea what he was doing. That holds guys on.
And that's not a balk at that point.
No, because he had his wind up perfectly to where he could decide in the middle of what he was going to fucking do.
Wow.
So he was playing second base. He was playing in Los Angeles against St. Vincent's, who was Loyola later on, but they were St. Vincent's at the time. And he was spotted by the president of the Los Angeles team of the Pacific Coast League, the PCL, which I think the PCL is still around.
Really?
The PCL was like the West Coast Majors. They had the San Francisco Seals and a bunch of these teams, the Hollywood Stars, and they were like they were considered like that. Joe DiMaggio was playing out there before the Yankees got him. That was like the kind of the majors of the West Coast before there was any teams on the West Coast.
Still going,
I believe. So this guy saw him and signed him right after the game. Loved him. Okay. And he comes in on March 27th, 1904, makes his PCL debut, going hitless against Oakland. But they loved him. The Los Angeles Examiner newspaper said, quote, "Before he had practiced 5 minutes, he was solid with the crowd. He has the makings of a good ball player. If Chase isn't a great natural ball player, then Los Angeles never saw one."
Okay.
So they're saying he's nasty, basically.
Yeah.
So the next day, the LA Times said, "Chase has a future before him that any ball player might look forward to. He plays first base as well as anyone would care to see."
Okay.
What a weird way to put that.
It's interesting.
I wouldn't want to look at it. You wouldn't want to see him play any better than that. It'll turn you off, is what it is.
Any better and you'll puke.
You'll throw right up. Here's from the Los Angeles Evening Post Record. Jesus Christ. There's so many newspapers back then. I was reading this book about the World's Fair in 1893 and H.H. Holmes and all that shit. At the time, Chicago had 28 daily newspapers.
Wow.
28. Well, there's no
For
TV.
each
There's
neighborhood?
no radio.
What is that?
Well, there's no TV. There's no radio. So
yeah.
I guess, and they were multiple editions a day. So people would buy multiple newspapers a day. And, you know.
How do you read that many, though?
There's nothing else to do. Fuck else is there to do?
Jesus Christ.
I mean, you go home at the end of your day. What are you going to do? Sit in your fucking quiet house? Reading is all there is.
That'd be great.
Yeah, no fucking TV. Yeah, right. It'd be great for an hour. And then you'd be like, I love some TV right now. This sucks. So here's a little article.
All I hear are these fucking kids.
Here's a little article. Hal Chase is one of the finds of the season on the Pacific Coast League. Chase was pitching and playing the initial bag, that's first base, for Santa Clara, a Catholic college in the northern part of the state, when manager Morley of the Seraphs received a tip regarding the boy's cleverness and what is this? And something himself, it's hard to tell, to a game at which the youngster played. He instantly saw that Chase was a natural ball player, and when Frank Dillon was compelled to go to Brooklyn, Chase was called upon to fill the ex-captain's shoes at the first angle. His work in this position and his prowess with the willow, I guess that's your bat, Jesus Christ, it's hard to get through, Lord, have satisfied the most optimistic regarding his ability. His fielding has not suffered by comparison with Dillon, and more than once he has slammed out the ball for victory. Okay.
But, I mean, with 28 papers in one town, you got to write like that to stand out. On the initial bag?
Well,
wow.
That's why Babe Ruth has 40 nicknames, because every newspaper gave him every newspaper in New York gave him a different nickname. There's 50 newspapers. So, I mean, Salt the Slot, the Bambino, this, that had to be your writer would call him that. So that's why guys had so many nicknames back then. There was a shitload of newspaper reporters.
The initial bag on the first angle.
First angle.
Amazing
bag.
with the willow.
With the willow.
Prowess with the willow.
His prowess with the... You know what? From now on, whenever there's a new ball player who people are talking about, I'm going to go, what's his prowess with the willow?
I'm not so impressed.
I don't know. I'm not sure about his prowess with the willow. I'm going to hold off and wait a year before judging that guy.
Fascinating.
October 4th, 1904, he's drafted by the New York Highlanders, soon to be the Yankees, from Los Angeles in the PCL here, which I guess is good for him because he's going to the major leagues now.
Yeah.
But there was a controversy because this draft would violate the peace agreement between the Coast League and major leagues.
It's fucking war.
It's on now. Oh, you don't want to fucking know what's happening now. People are getting fucked up.
Prince Ferdinand has been shot.
Oh, man, his brains are all over the sidewalk. After a period of dispute, Chase eventually reported to New York, then managed by Clark Griffin, and then shortly after beginning in 1905, a New York writer said this, quote, "I took a look at Hal Chase, the new first baseman today, and was impressed with his style. He's a natural ball player, fast as greased lightning, easy, confident, and brainy. He's the counterpart of Fred Tenney in the way he goes after grounders, widely thrown balls, and bunts. Better still, he seems to know what is meant by inside ball." So he's just a good first baseman, but like I said, he fucks up a lot, which it would be very easy to drop balls from a shortstop with that small glove. But it sounds like he makes from everything I've read, it sounds like he makes the spectacular plays and then sometimes boots an easy grounder. That's kind of what happens with this guy. But he'll make a diving play in the hole, no problem.
Okay.
So he's athletic and shit like that. 1905, he's on the Highlanders. They're not even the Yankees yet. The record is 71, 78, and 3. The 3 are games finished after dark.
Sure.
Or not finished because of the dark. This is pre-Yankee Stadium. This is when the Yankees were playing at Hilltop Park.
Yeah,
and their
electricity.
And their attendance was 309,100 for the entire season.
Oh, my.
Yeah, now they do 3 million a season. Back then it was 300,000. So very, very
is that
different.
Averaging? Is that 10,000 a game? Or is it 5,
I mean, what is there? 71, 78, 100.
It's 3,000?
We'll say 154 games is what they were playing. So say 154 games and 309,000
a game.
That's just not a lot of people then. They're all day games because there's no lights. So
right.
They're all day games. So it has to be people who aren't working.
Right.
Which is hard. So I don't know. Either way, looking at his stats here, he's got a Hall of Famer, 3 Hall of Famers on the team. Willie Keeler, who I've heard of because he's Wee Willie Keeler. Clark Griffith, who I've heard of. He's another Hall of Famer. And then Jack Chesborough was a Hall of Famer on this team.
Huh.
But Hal this year, he made $2,000 as his salary as well.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's great.
So not too shabby. It's really difficult to tell his stats because there's no real, I guess he had 124. Oh, these are his starts. That's right. Those are his defensive stats. It's really difficult. He hit 277 that year. Oh, that's his on base.
Bad.
He hit 249. 277 is not a great on base percentage, but they also weren't doing like analytics back then or anything like that. So he does hit 3 home runs and have 6 triples, 12 doubles. Not too shabby. 22 steals. Everybody says he's pretty fast. 1906, they're a good team. 1906, the Highlanders are 90 and 61.
Holy.
Second in the American League. So there was no playoffs. It was just right to the World Series, and that was that. But this year he makes $2,500.
Oh
boy.
A raise.
I got a raise. Here's an article from the Evening Star, and it says, ball players can emerge as stars as the result of peculiar circumstances. When Hal came to the New York Highlanders, he was a terrible hitter. I was managing then, and I had him out every morning for batting practice for weeks. I wasn't getting anywhere. I knew it. Chase knew it, and Kid Elberfeld, watching me work with Chase, knew it. Chase wasn't improving. Let me work on that guy, Elberfeld said to me one day, and I said, he's yours. Low-life scumbag. Yeah. Well, Elberfeld worked with Chase, but he gave up in disgust. He started snorting. He snorted at Hal, "You'll never be a hitter," and stomped off to the dugout. When he got back to the bench, he spied one of his bats, picked it up, and threw it toward Chase. Maybe you'll get to be a hitter if you use a real hitter's bat. When he tossed that bat to Chase, it made a star of Hal. They gave him a bigger bat, and all of a sudden he's cranking shit.
Huh.
Okay, that's it.
One more weight.
Yep, they say Chase became a slugger with this borrowed bat. Elberfeld would take an ordinary bat and saw an inch or so off the top. It was one of those that he flung to Chase. Hal hit a couple of pitches, and he turned and looked at us as if somebody had put 1,000-watt bulbs in his eyes. He said, I'm using this bat in today's game. He used that bat and got 4 hits that afternoon.
Holy!
And he was a great hitter after that. Don't ask me why. He just clicked after that silly incident.
It's almost like if you have the right equipment,
yeah,
you can
it's
do
weird.
Well.
Yeah, you can't just hand a hitter any bat and say use this, and they're going to be at their peak. Everybody's is a little different. I was watching this YouTube video of there's like a minor league ball player who does these YouTube videos, and he did these videos using exact replicas of people's bats throughout the years. So what they were made of, how big they were, to see how you hit with them. Sure. And like Babe Ruth's bat, he was like, "Oh my God, I have to start swinging this thing." He goes, "I don't know how I don't know how the fuck this guy hit with this bat. Like you have to." He goes, "BP is different. I know where the pitch is coming. I know where to wind up. But if I don't know if it's a fastball or a curveball, and I'm in mid swing, or how the hell do you?" I don't know how the fuck this guy hit the ball. He must have been insane hand-eye coordination to be able to adjust on the fly to hit the thing with it, because it's a
big heavy bat.
It's a railroad tie. It's like 42 ounces. No shit. It's like 40. They use 31s now. It's like a 42.
Jesus Christ.
So he goes, it's so hard to get around. He goes, your wrists have to be so fucking strong to use this bat to be able to.
Or you just have to be a giant fat man.
Man, just well, he was thick too. Like.
Yeah.
In the old pictures in those uniforms,
says he's fat.
He looks like dainty with a belly, but he was like Tony Soprano is what he was.
Yeah, right.
He was a big, powerful guy. You know what I mean? That's how he was built. He was big.
I guess Tony's a pretty good, but he was shaped like a football.
But that was what the uniforms did. Everybody looked like that back then. He just looked more like that because he was a little heavier and nobody else was fat back then. But he basically, like, if you put him in Tony Soprano's clothes, I think he'd look like Tony Soprano. Like, I think that was
right.
The body style he was. Just the uniforms were not
him in a suit
flattering.
with a cigar basically is that.
That's what he looked like when he was in his prime before he had cancer and everything. So the next year he hits 323. So he goes from 249 to 323 because of a fucking bat.
Unbelievable.
Which is pretty amazing, I got to say. At the end of the 1905 and 6 seasons, Chase would return to San Jose to play Sunday ball in the California State League.
Okay.
So during the major league season, he would head on back to play Sunday ball. Yeah, or at the end of it. That was his off season. So, I was going to say, how the hell did he get across the country so fast in 1907?
It's pretty quick trains.
There was no Delta back then. So that season went on into November, the California State League. In spring of 1907, he threatened to remain in California if he wasn't given a $4,000 contract.
He wants $4,000 a year.
That's it. So he was, at one point in the sporting life, in January 26th of that year, he said that he was, quote, perhaps the biggest drawing card in baseball. He said that about himself.
Oh.
He got real cocky after a while.
Perhaps the biggest draw here.
And he always wants money. And you'll find out from this episode why ball players get paid what they get paid.
Yeah.
Okay, this is one thing that annoys me. It really bothers me when people say, and I'm not defending their honor. It's a logistical thing. When
Defend the rich men, James.
When they go, I can't believe they get paid that much. Why do they get paid that much? They should make $80,000 a year, those guys. No, first of all, if they made $80,000 a year, they'd all be throwing games constantly. Because if $5,000 means a lot to you, then you could bribe a guy and have the lines move and actually make money betting. You can't bribe a guy who makes $36 million a year, because the amount you'd have to pay him to risk all of that would be way more than you could make without drawing red flags on the betting side from the FBI. Yeah. So it's impossible now. You can't bribe Patrick Mahomes. You can't. You cannot he's unbribable.
Yeah, you might be right.
You can give him $1 billion. How much? You couldn't make that gambling $1 billion off of one thing. You couldn't do it. So it would be impossible. Whereas if a guy makes $4,000, you can bribe him. Hence the Black Sox scandal.
Yeah, you certainly get things done. Yeah.
Yeah. If guys don't feel like they're actually like, oh, I actually need I need new furniture and I can't afford it.
There's that, but there's also this little thing called pay somebody for what their talent is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And if your talent
that's the other
is
thing.
So niche and specific that nobody else can do that.
That's what I mean.
You deserve some pretty good cash.
The hardest thing in sports is to hit a baseball. I don't care what anybody fucking says. Hitting a baseball.
Yeah.
Go in a 50-mile-an-hour batting cage and see how many times you fucking miss right now. Now imagine it's twice as fast and also tumbling, moving, and you never know where it's going to go. Hit that shit. Enjoy.
And you have to put that on that in the right spot.
Yeah, perfectly.
Even if you make contact, call where that motherfucker's going to go.
Yeah, you'd be thrilled to foul one off. Well, that's a strike.
Look at that, I did it.
Wow. Well, that's a strike. 0-1. Shit.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
That's hard.
And now you're behind.
Yeah. And the NFL, you want to go in there and risk your fucking brains?
No.
For that money? That's why they pay
or
that
your
money.
Leg or
your legs
any
or
fucking thing else.
Your neck, everything else. Yeah. Basketball? How many people are 6'11" with a 43-inch vertical leap? How many fucking people in the world? It's like 0.00001%. That's why they're paying so much.
And forget the leap. Go out and do it onto any basketball court. Stand at that three-point line and shoot shots. In the NBA, that's 2 points.
Yeah, that's 2 points.
And you are going to miss a lot.
And there's a guy who's 6'7" who's trying to let you not do that.
Trying to not let you hit those 2 points.
Yeah.
Because the three-point line is a step or two back.
Yeah.
That ain't easy.
That's rough, man. So anyway, that's what ends up happening. I'm saying this for a reason, as we'll find out. There's a definite reason of why the fuck this is going on. So the publication earlier, after he in the sporting life, when he had called himself the biggest drawing card, they had concluded, quote, a more brilliant player does not wear a uniform. So they were saying he's the best guy in the league here. He got his contract, but then at the end of the 1907 season, he went back to the California League. And, it's in the newspaper here. Hal Chase not to join New York in the South. They said big difference in salary keeps the star first baseman on the coast. San Jose may establish him in business. So they're going to set him up like a diner or something. Set him up in business. He said he's not going to go. He wanted a contract that he wanted $5,500.
Jesus
is what he wanted. So they offered him like less than that, obviously. So he said, no, thank you. I'll play on the West Coast this year. So then after a while, he says he's ready to come to terms in 1907. In April of 1907, when the season's about to start, he's like, okay, let's work it out.
You think it's because nobody's coming to Los Gatos to see him play?
Possibly, out there. So they said in response to a wire from Clark Griffith, who was the player manager at the time, asking the first baseman if he intended reporting at Atlanta for duty. And when Hal Chase sent the following, am sick, it will be 2 or 3 days before I can leave San Jose. The nature of Chase's illness is not known, but it is thought that he will be in condition to jump into the game the moment he arrives. So they're saying now he's coming back. I guess he got his money. They said he will be fined for each day he's absent. So 1907, the Highlanders go back to being shitty, 70, 78, and 4. Not great. And they're not drawing a ton of people. So if he's a great drawing card, then they should draw more.
Yeah.
By the way, on this team, in addition to the other Hall of Famers, Branch Rickey is on this team.
Don't know that name.
Branch Rickey is the Dodgers executive after this. He's a Brooklyn Dodgers executive that not only got Jackie Robinson in the league and all that, but
it's him.
Invented the minor league baseball system.
It's Mr. Dickey.
He invented spring training. He invented minor leagues. He invented all that shit.
Wow.
Farm system and all that. How about if we have all these teams? And...
That guy played too, huh?
Oh, yeah. He was a great player. Yeah, Hall of Famer. I don't know if he was a Hall of Famer for his play or if he was a Hall of Famer for his
owning
executive
Dodgers.
Decisions there. So 1907, quote, this is from the Los Angeles Evening Post Record, awful charges against the wife of Hal Chase.
Awful against her?
Yes. Okay, next headline is accused wife of famous first baseman of complicity in murder of baby.
What did she do?
They're saying his wife murdered a baby.
Oh, my. Hers?
This is fucking insane. Michelle Martin, wife of the trainer of the New York Baseball Club of the American League, and Mrs. Hal Chase, wife of the crack first baseman of the New York Americans, were arrested Thursday night in the presence of their husbands and charged with attempting to conceal the death of the infant daughter of Mrs. Martin.
So she helped her
She helped the trainer's wife murder and hide a baby's body.
Wow.
I hope they didn't chop it up. Let's find out here.
Those are awful charges.
Wow. Oh, it's worse. It is charged that the two women tried to cremate the body of the infant in a bonfire built in the rear of the Martin home.
They burned a baby.
They burned her. She put her baby in a bonfire.
She didn't want a baby, or did what?
I hope it died first.
It was dead.
I hope it died first. But this is only 120 years ago, everybody. This is not that long ago in context of human history where we were like, the baby died. Well, I guess build a fire. I don't know. Fucking wow.
In New York City?
I don't know where this was. It must have been. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or nearby. After the fire went out, Jesus Christ, it is charged they put the remains in a pasteboard box, which was thrown into a vault. Thrown into a vault? That makes it sound like, don't need that. Like it was
bank?
No, but thrown in makes it sound like, because you say you throw stuff in the garbage, it makes it sound like they just were like, toss that in there. Don't need that piece of shit.
Disregarded it into the place where we keep all of our safekeepings.
Weird. Neighbors reported the matter to police. Mrs. Martin, who is 21 years old and married a short time, confessed. Holy shit. Hal Chase is a Los Angeles boy and has had many friends in this city. He joined the New York American League team 2 years ago, and although but 21 years old, is considered the peer of all initial sackers in the big leagues. So initial sack must have been first base all the time. Yeah. He was married to his accused wife, but a short time ago. So they're fucking newlyweds, and why are you helping him murder a baby? Imagine your newlywed wife comes home and she's like, I just had to help your trainer's wife murder a baby. You'd be like, what the fuck?
Exhausted. Why do you smell like campfires?
Why do you smell like campfire?
Well,
and what is it's like smoked desitin. What is that? What's that smell? What is that?
Yikes.
You don't use that as a condiment? It only comes in little tubes because it's very strong, like fish paste or something, but you got to watch out for smoked desitin. It's bad. Oh man! So
why in the newspaper did it have to say he's made a bunch of friends here? What
I don't know.
What does that
I don't know why they would say that. They were real nosy back in the day. In a lot of these newspapers,
I haven't read a lot of articles recently that talks about somebody's Rolodex or their Christmas card list.
No, but back then, not in the big city newspapers, but even just the suburban ones or the small town ones, they had a personal section, which wasn't like I'm looking for Dick or I'm looking for big tits or anything like that. It was, Mrs. Davenport's cousin came and had tea this afternoon. Shit like that. Like everybody's business was in the paper. So-and-so visiting from San Antonio. And that would just be in the newspaper. Like, so that's normal.
She's married to this man who plays for the team here. He's got a lot of friends here.
He's got anyway. That's how it is. Makes no sense. Stupidest thing ever. August 10th, 1907. Hal Chase got spiked really hard.
Okay.
Back then,
slid into first?
No, back then it might have been somebody.
Maybe he
spiking him on the base paths.
Yeah.
But back then the cleats weren't like they are now. The cleats were like just steel murder
Things
weapons,
were-
basically.
Yeah,
just
they were like threaded into the shoe.
they were real nasty shit. So they would spike you, and when somebody got spiked hard, it was bad. Like it was a bad thing. So they said that the New York Americans has the spiking of Hal Chase, the first baseman of the New York Americans, has temporarily crippled that club, of which he has been a mainstay during the season. He was spiked unintentionally by Isabel, a second baseman of the Chicagos, in a game between New York and Chicago on Saturday, when during an argument at home plate, Chase ran to second and reached that base by a great slide. There is a deep, long cut on his right forearm, and until it heals, he cannot play. The guy stepped on his arm.
Spiked in the fucking arm.
In the arm. Wow.
Jesus.
That's wild. That year, though, hits 287. Maybe having a fucking stepped on arm would be a big deal. Hits 287 and only 3 home runs. Back then, home runs weren't what you were going for. This is the dead ball era. Also, they didn't put a cushion cork center into baseballs till 1910.
Oh,
so and before that, and even then, the ball wasn't tight yet. Still, so before then, the balls were loose. They were kind of and pitchers would really work them so they'd get loose, and you could kind of make them lopsided sometimes. And it was
softer.
And they would play with them, and because there wasn't home runs constantly and shit like that, they would play with them. The balls would be dark colored. Guys would put tobacco juice all over them, so you couldn't see the ball hitting and stuff like that.
Wow.
So hitting was a difficult task back then.
Jesus,
very difficult. So that year, October 31st, 1907. Yes, it's Halloween. But he's going as a guy named Hal Schultz, and it's not for Halloween. It's because he's playing under an assumed name.
Why?
Here it is, October 31st from the San Francisco Chronicle. Under the assumed name of Schultz, Hal Chase, first baseman of the New York Americans, played shortstop, left-handed shortstop, for a team in the game that took place in Garden City with the San Francisco club of the State League. It was learned last night from San Jose that Chase took this step because he was afraid that he would get into trouble with the American League and thought he would dodge the situation by participating under an alias. Yeah, that's people already knew who the fuck he was and all that kind of thing.
What's the point?
Kid Moeller, who will captain the team that is to play against Mike Fisher's Honolulu aggregation next week, has entered into negotiations with Chase to play first base. But inasmuch as Chase has violated baseball laws, it is questionable whether Moeller would have the right to put him on the team. So he's just playing for extra money under an assumed name.
Yeah.
A couple weeks later, there's an article, Hal Chase defiant.
Oh.
Hal Chase has told the National Commission to go to. Okay, I guess that means to go fuck yourself. That's how they used to say it back then.
Is Kid Moeller, is that an alias also?
That was the guy's name. Kid was they called a lot of guys back then.
Right.
They all had nicknames back then, like I said, from 800 newspapers. Every guy had a nickname. This guy was Prince Hal Chase. Everyone had a nickname.
Sure.
So they said that he has defied the game's court of authority and continues to play ball on the West Coast, notwithstanding the warning that to do so meant expulsion from the major leagues.
Yeah.
But he said he's still doing it under Hal Schultz, even though they know who he is, and he's actually in trouble for it, which makes no sense. Makes no sense.
Mr. Schultz.
December, still playing.
Okay.
Still playing out there, doing his thing. Doesn't give a shit. They go back to him every couple of weeks like, he's still out there? He's still fucking out there. How crazy is that? What's he doing? So they said the management is beginning to regard him in the light of an ingrate, owing to his willingness to put President Farrell in a hole.
Yeah.
An ingrate now. Wow. I guess the Californians, the California team gave him all he wanted for salary, so he's like, I'm doing that. Now, 1908, January 1st, 1908, apparently the baby burning incident caused a strain on his marriage because he's marrying somebody else now.
Oh, is it divorced?
Who knows?
We think?
You know what? Maybe he's marrying him under an assumed name. We don't fucking know. This
Schultz
guy
is getting married.
He's getting married. Someone's getting married. He married Nellie Heffernan of Jersey City at St. Joseph's Church in San Jose on January 1st, 1908. So that's nice. Here is an article from January 31st, 1908, and it says, the wedding of Hal Chase, hero of California and Eastern baseball diamonds, to Miss Ellen Heffernan of Hefferman of New Jersey, took place at San Francisco the other day. The only witnesses were Mr. and Mrs. William F. Benson, with whom Ms. Hefferman had been staying for some time. The couple will remain in San Francisco, and then, till next year. Next up, January 1st, 1908, Hal Chase to begin duties as coach.
Oh, he's coaching now.
He's fucking like 22. Who's he coaching?
Yeah.
Makes no sense. He's going to coach St. Mary's College. He's the
Really?
same age as the kids.
Yeah.
Is he going to play under an assumed name? He will organize the Phoenix team, and the active baseball season at St. Mary's will then commence. So he's in Phoenix now. Chase coached the Phoenix team last season, and it won every game it played, 29 in all, annexing both the collegiate and amateur championship of the state. So
Wow.
dominating Arizona baseball. So interesting.
St. Mary's College was here?
I guess so. Beats the shit out of me.
I didn't know they were in Phoenix.
It wasn't even a state yet, Arizona.
Right. Yeah, Arizona didn't become a
was-
state until like the 1912?
1912.
Yeah, I think 12.
So that makes no sense at all. Weird. Here we go. January 31st, 1908 again. This is a different newspaper, completely different article, but same day. It says, Hal Chase, an expert at stretching the truth. That's the headline.
Okay, yeah.
So Hal Chase, a fucking liar. Low-life scumbag. First baseman writes Gotham Man that he did not play with Outlaw League in California last fall. He's now telling people he didn't do that, even though
that was Hal Schultz.
Everybody watched him. They wrote articles about him. He coached the team. He did interviews talking about how they played last night.
It was Hal Schultz, King Moeller, and Captain Bicuspid. It was not. Wasn't me.
Wow. It says, quote, "The truth is like so much rubber in Hal Chase's mouth," says Baggerly in the San Francisco Bulletin. It can be stretched. Chase can spin a walloper as cleverly as he can field a bunt. The Eastern papers charged Chase with playing outlaw baseball in California last fall, and therefore, according to the rules of the National Commission, he was subject to a fine of $100 if he played in a game and liable to a blacklist if he took part in more than one. Right after he returned from New York, Hal joined the San Jose club and played in several games. When the National Commission threatened the players with blacklist, Hal took an assumed name and finished the season under it. There can be no argument about it. The writers saw him with his uniform on and saw him field his position. In the face of a world of indisputable evidence that could be massed against him, Hal he writes a New York man these lines. "The truth of the matter is that I did not play outlaw ball." This is from Hal.
Yeah.
"While at home in San Jose, I had the chance to make a little spending money by appearing in exhibition games. These games were not regular league games and did not count in the official standing.
Yeah, these are bullshit games.
As soon as I found out that the California League was to be an outlaw organization, I quit. I'm not an outlaw and never have been." That's bullshit. When Chase says the games were not regular league games, he gives the truth another yank. If the games he took part in at San Jose were not the real McCoy, then the California State League never played any games last season. Chase adds that as soon as he found out the California League was an outlaw league, he quit. Yes, he quit, but he played under an assumed name, Walloper number 23. So this is a whole article about what a liar he is. New York writers.
I love that. If there wasn't this, then there aren't any at all.
Yeah. If he didn't play, then nobody did because he was in every fucking game, is what they said. It's a great way to put it. It's very blunt. The New York writers have swallowed Chase's statements hook, line, and sinker, and the prospect Chase will escape without as much as a reprimand. Griffith could not afford to punish a great player like him. If the original silver-haired middle-aged white man, this motherfucker, right, the original guy. Well, I mean, there's rules, and then there's rules. You know what I mean? If some bush leaguer had committed an offense, 60 years in exile would have been his bit or worse. If Chase is guilty of the letters that have been printed and credited to him, he deserves to be grilled and punished. Well, that's a bad thing to say with his wife. His wife might grill him.
It's like his wife barbecues babies.
She will hibachi a baby, so we are. Oof. The California League is the best baseball league on the coast, though it is an outlaw league. Chase gets paid for his playing, and here is his record for 1907. 12 games, 41 at-bats, 7 runs, 16 hits, .390 batting average. Did well. Not one of the 12 games was an exhibition game. They were all league games and counted in the standings. Liar. So they love that. 1908, the Highlanders are fucking terrible, man. They are 51-103-1.
Jesus.
That is terrible. That's just
a tough year.
Holy shit, that's a bad fucking bad season. Clark Griffith got fired that year, and they brought in Kid Elberfeld, who was the hitting instructor or whatever, and he went 27-71 in his coaching.
Not great.
Griffith got fired for being 24-32.
Yeah, and then it got worse.
This guy comes in and goes, I'll win the same amount of games and lose twice as many. Let's get it on. Their attendance barely broke 300,000 that year. Not good at all. So they said they fired him. Chase loved playing in the offseason in California, which he did nearly every year. And every year they would threaten to blacklist him, and then he would laugh, and he would come back and say he didn't play. That's what he would do.
Just playing pirate baseball, trying to scratch together every dime he can for this shit.
And then he'd come back. It was like a big joke. They'd go, you didn't play last year. He goes, no, I didn't play any games last year. And Hal Schultz, though, he played the whole season. So
that guy did great.
September 3rd, 1908, big headline here in the New York Times, Hal Chase quits Yankees in huff. He got pissed off and quit.
He's had enough.
First baseman declares he was unfairly criticized by management, throws up his contract. Apparently he had eaten it earlier. He's done. Leaves for San Jose, California, where he will play an outlaw league. No truth in charges. That's what it says, too. So they're even saying, they're on the team side. They're going, by the way, he's full of shit. Oh, man. Hal Chase, the Yankees' first baseman, has deserted the Yankees and is now on his way home in San Jose, California. Chase left the team without any particular warning, although rumors had been circulated during the last few weeks that Chase was dissatisfied with the conditions as they exist in the greater New York Baseball Club. It was stated that Chase, after the release of Clark Griffith, this Chase denied yesterday and said he was willing to work under Elberfeld until stories detrimental to his character and honesty were circulated.
Yeah.
This dude talked shit about him. Yeah. These stories, he said, were circulated by club management. They said there has been trouble between Chase and Elberfeld extending over a year, but when Elberfeld was appointed manager, it broke out anew. Okay. And because he was continually harassed, Chase said he could not give his best services. He admits that on the recent disastrous trip of the Yankees, he was unable to do his best because of his illness. At times, he came out to play when he should have been in bed. No intimation was received as to Chase's intention, and when he failed to appear at first base yesterday, all kinds of rumors went into circulation. The management, however, admitted that the star first baseman had quit. He appeared for morning practice, but after it was over, he packed all his belongings and left. He afterward took his trunks and left for the West. Before he went away, he gave the following statement, quote, and you know what, let's do it in their own words. Let's do an old-timey in their own words. This is how nobody quits a baseball team today. So this is how you quit the New York Yankees. Quote,
like the redhead and Young Guns naked on a horseback?
Exactly. In their own words, quote, I am not satisfied to play under a management that sees fit to give out a story detrimental to my character and questions my integrity and honesty. Such a story appeared in a New York Sunday paper August 23rd. I feel that I could not do myself justice under such conditions, and therefore I have decided to quit. I never had managerial ideas. Because they were saying, some people said he left because he didn't get hired as the manager.
Mm-hmm. Kiss my ass.
Kiss my ass. So the president, Frank Farrell of the Yankees, now they're the Yankees all of a sudden, denies that any statement reflecting Chase's ability or integrity was given out by any person connected with the club. That article is the one we read you. That didn't quote any club sources, but he's saying the club must have told him shit. So he's pissed off. The action of Chase quitting the Yankees has so unceremoniously, this is an old newspaper, it's really hard to read, is almost unprecedented in the history of the national sport. Yeah, no one does that. He was treated with the greatest consideration by his club, and according to President Farrell, his excuse for leaving the team is only a subterfuge to escape criticism. Okay. This is Frank Farrell's response. No one was more surprised than I at the action taken by Hal Chase. I have heard rumors for several weeks that negotiations were being carried out by the Outlaw League of California and Chase, but have paid no attention to them. Monday morning, however, I learned from a most reliable source that Chase has written to a friend who is a player in the American League that he would jump the New York club and take one of the players with him as soon as he received his salary on the 1st of September. After the game on Monday afternoon, I talked to Chase about this report for some time. During the conversation, Chase assured me that he was more than satisfied with the treatment he had received at the hands of the New York club and gave me his word of honor as a man. Yeah. Not just his word of honor, his penile word of honor. On my balls, is what he said.
As a hairy-backed man.
All I got is my word and my nuts and won't break up for nobody, is what he said. So they said that he had no intention of leaving the New York club. When I learned this afternoon that Chase had quit the club, I immediately requested manager Elberfield by telephone to see Chase without delay and to find out whether my information was correct. Chase admitted to Elberfield that he had no grievance with him, but that he had been thinking of going for a long time and finally made up his mind to go. Jesus. Elberfield asked him to meet me before he went, but Chase refused to do so, owning to his positive assurances to me that he would not leave. I have since learned that Chase had told some of the players during the season of his intention to quit and join the Outlaw League of California in the fall. In order to overshadow this unmanly action, Chase tries to cast the blame for the publication of the article on the management. This action can only be attributed to the influence and advice of some enemies of the club who have put themselves in this position by their own action. So, he goes on for a while to just... He says he'll never let him play there again. I would not permit him to play here again. He says, he threatened to join an outlaw league unless I paid him $4,000 a year. The New York club finally agreed to the sum, and Chase signed a contract for 3 years. At the end of the season of 1907, he joined the Outlaw League of California, played under an assumed name. I was notified by the National Commission to stop his playing in the Outlaw League, or I would not be permitted to play him on the New York club. Chase ignored this action of the commission and continued to play, and it was only through my continued efforts that he was not blacklisted, because he's good.
So it's not that he's risking the asset, which is his athletic body. It's that's a competing league, and we can't have you playing here if you are playing there.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, this wasn't the majors. The leagues were not that far off at this point, so it was still a competition.
Sure.
Where another league could have overtaken them. So they didn't want any star players, because you'll have the Federal League in a few years. Yeah. There's a couple of different baseball leagues that pop up over the next 10 years to try to take supremacy, and they steal a lot of the players. And
yeah, so he's just saying, look, man, for me to comply with the rules of our league, you can't play there. It has nothing to do with any. I'm not trying to keep you from making money. I'm just trying to keep our team intact and keep a good player on my fucking roster.
That's
and you're fucking it up.
You're fucking it all up, because now they're getting pressed with you out there.
You and your baby-cuing wife.
Yeah, you and your fucking baby-cooking wife over here. What are we having for dinner tonight, baby?
Baby-cued.
Baby-cue. He has repeatedly defied organized baseball, and in this way has caused more trouble than any other player in the league.
Wow.
Regarding Chase's published threat to disrupt baseball in this city, I would welcome any statement he may see fit to make. In other words, bring it on, bitch.
Yeah.
He said he was good with the fans. People liked him, but if he's going to be a douchebag, fuck him. 1906 is when he held out for the highest salary ever paid to a ball player outside of a pitcher in recent years, $4,100.
Unbelievable.
Which was still, that's a lot of fucking money back then.
Yeah, it is.
But still not as much in inflation as players make now by far.
Sure.
So he played out the rest of the season and paid a fine and got reinstated for 1909.
He'll be back.
All of this shit. But December 2nd, 1908, it says, Hal Chase cannot again play with New York. National Commission to bar first baseman. So saying he's not going to play next year.
Yeah.
So
pirate fucking baseball.
Yep, he's not going to play. We won't let him in. One of the guys here said, I will not say that the commission could not pardon such an offense. Criminal justice pardons even the murderer at times, but I must say that if Chase applies for reinstatement, he will have to show exceptionally extenuating circumstances for his behavior. even though he will no doubt find severe penalty awaiting him. It is not for me to deal with him personally, but I do know that the National Commission will, without a doubt, make such an example of Hal Chase that other players will stop and consider before taking such a course as he did, which they didn't do that, and that's why those other outlaw leagues showed up and guys went and played for him because they knew they'd be able to play again.
Yeah.
So, George Stallings, who returned last night from his Georgia plantations, is mum on the matter of the makeup of next year's Hilltop team. That's the Yankees, by the way. From what he has to say about Sharp, the first sacker of the Newark club, however, it would appear the Big Chief had designs on this fellow for the Keystone job. Stallings said that, quote, the Indian is very something, and I can't tell what that is, and as promising as Chase was when Hal butted into fast company. So they said, they got a new guy, don't worry about it. So 1909, quote, baseball player has smallpox. He got the smallpox, everybody.
Fantastic.
Which was still a problem. This was pre-smallpox vaccine, so this was an issue. Hal Chase in Augusta, Georgia hospital. Dread disease shows up in Mideast form. Companions to take every precaution to avoid contagion.
Because he's going
Christ.
Around the country from fucking L.A. to New York.
Oh, my
God
God.
knows what accommodations, touching all kinds of crazy shit. Of course you're going to get sick.
Yeah, people were all over each other back then, too.
God.
This wasn't a lot of... so they said he has the mildest form of the disease.
That's good.
He's still being sent to a smallpox hospital. He will be detained 17 days longer, they said. I don't know where they picked that number out of their ass. He said his wife telegraphed today that she is on her way here from Jersey City. She will not be permitted to see the patient. He is in good spirits and has had the run of the big hospital, being the only patient there. So he's the only patient in the whole smallpox hospital.
It's got to feel shitty.
All right. So last Sunday, half the New York club went to Savannah and half came to Augusta for Macon to play practice games. Chase, who had been suffering from stomach trouble, was with the Augusta visitors. He complained of being ill Monday night, and manager Stallings summoned him to his room. Stallings called a doctor who pronounced the illness smallpox. Jeez. Holy shit. Well, they had the vaccine then, but you should have taken it. He didn't, because in Deadwood they had the fucking vaccine, remember, for it? So,
but they had to go all the way to Kearney to get it. 1909 stomach trouble has to be just firing hot fire out of your ass.
Coming from our Patreon, are you bilious, Jimmie?
Yeah, that has got to be the most bilious sumbitch in
Well,
New
they
York.
do just give you laxatives. That was the cure for everything back then.
Yeah, shit out the common cold.
Man, so Hal Chase is believed to have contracted smallpox in Macon by coming in contact with two ball boys at the hotel where the New York team was stopping here. The ball boys are now in the contagion hospital. So there we go. 1909 New York Highlanders 74, 77, and 2 under George Stallings. This year they crack 500,000 in attendance, though.
Hey.
So they really went up a lot. That's not bad at all. They still have basically kind of the same team. No more Hall of Famers or anything like that.
Any better record?
This year they hit he hits 283. Well, yeah, I mean 74 and 77. It's not bad, but I mean it's not great.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer. I can really show you how to make some money. And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages. on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
So they have a guy from the UK here, actually.
Oh.
They have 2 players from Great Britain on the team, which I didn't know there was a lot of British ball players back then, but apparently there was.
They get to kick it.
Jimmie Austin and Irish McIvlin. Or McIlvaine. Irish McIlvaine. Irish, they called him. There's so many nicknames. Rube, Doc, Irish, fucking all of these nicknames. King, that's not the guy's fucking name. Kid, Slow Joe Doyle.
Poor bastard.
Yeah,
He's
Slow
gotta be
Joe.
fast as shit, right?
But he's probably super fast. The tallest guy on this team appears to be 6'2", by the way. All these guys are 5'7", 5'8", 5'9".
My kind of guy.
All these little fucking guys here. So he hits 283 this year for New York. 1910, sometime in 1910, a son is born.
All right.
And his wife does not kill it, which is good.
No.
His son is born, Hal Chase Jr., of course.
You betcha.
See how long ago this started? It's the only thing in sports that tradition has kept is that egotistical assholes name their kids after themselves. That's the only fucking thing.
And it, almost without fail, if there's a junior, one, either senior or junior, is a piece of shit.
Piece of dog shit.
Almost fucking infallible. Almost every single
it works.
time.
It just works. It's all of these fucking guys. Other than the Griffies, it's fucking. It's pretty,
outside of that,
right there.
Patrick Mahomes is a junior. His dad is a fuck up.
He's an idiot. Yeah.
Holy
all
shit.
sorts of DUIs,
He's got
right?
At least 3, they said. They don't even know how many he's got.
We'll find out. I'll find out when we do an episode on him. You don't think
he's got
we'll dig that up? Me and Ian will dig that shit right up.
In
Don't you worry about
2024, that fucking idiot still is getting DUI.
Like a moron with his son. Jesus.
But his son's got all the Uber money on the planet.
Dude, just sign up through my account. It'll come right out of my...
It'll go wherever you want.
Go wherever you want in an Uber. I don't care. Stop getting arrested. It makes me look bad.
He's got bad hair, too. They've all just got the worst hair.
Yeah, not good. Not good hair either. Yeah, that family's got problems.
Shit genes.
Man, except for Super Bowl winning quarterback genes.
One guy. Everybody else is trash.
They all came out.
What a trash family.
So, 1910 New York Highlanders, 88-63-5. Under George Stallings, and then George Stallings was fired. Last 14 games of the season managed by fucking Hal Chase.
Is that right?
So he said, I didn't want to be the manager. That's funny because 2 years later you're the manager. Yeah, that's pretty hilarious. Stallings alleged that Chase was, quote, laying down in games with the goal of Stallings getting fired so he could be the manager. That's what he said.
Who's ever done that before?
Wow. That's why the players don't just take over. Some fifth-year player doesn't take over as manager, so they can't do that. They get an old guy, separate role.
I did hear that's how Dusty Baker became a manager.
Absolutely, yeah.
He just quit.
He sandbagged for a while, and then they just hired him instead.
Who hires the shittiest player anyway?
That's 290 is what he hits this year. Yeah. They said Stallings says Hal Chase is guilty of quitting. Mm-hmm. He laid down is what he said. How dare he? And, of course, Chase says the charge is false and that he will prove it. Okay. That's how you know of a liar. You can't prove what you were thinking 3 months ago. There's no way to prove that. So only a liar says, that's a lie, and I'll prove it. You can't prove it. It's physically fucking impossible for you to prove it. You fucking asshole. I hate people like that. Listen to the words people say. It's so ridiculous.
They telegraph their feelings.
Oh, my God. This is from an article from, I don't know what newspaper. It doesn't matter. Quote, the vapor of gossip that has surrounded the quarrel of Hal Chase, captain of the New York American League baseball team, and George T. Stallings, manager, was cleared by a statement last night from Frank J. Farrell, president of the club. Stallings was in conference with Farrell in obedience to a telegram summoning him from Cleveland and took the opportunity of making grave charges. He accused Chase of withholding his best services on the field and quitting when he was most needed. President Farrell thought the charges were so grave that he took the first train for Cleveland, where the club is now, to make a complete investigation. Stallings wanted to accompany him but was refused permission. If the charges were sustained, Farrell said that there would be no place for Chase on the team or, in his opinion, on any other team. They keep threatening him with blacklisting that they're not going to do.
They're never going to do it.
Nope. If they fail, he reserved the right to deal with Stallings as he thinks fit. He absolutely denied that Chase has been appointed manager of the club, but baseball followers believe that he will be if Stallings' charges fall flat. So, then Farrell said this. In response to a telegram from me calling George T. Stallings to my office this morning to give his version of the reported trouble in the New York American League club, of which he is the manager, to my surprise, Mr. Stallings made grave accusations against Hal Chase, first baseman of the team and captain. Mr. Stallings charges he has not been giving his best services, and he has been guilty, in baseball parlance, of laying down. No ball player can afford to have his reputation and the reputation of his club smirched by such charges.
Yeah.
So they said if Hal Chase is guilty, basically someone's getting fired, is what it is, one or the other. So it turns out, this is Hal Chase's statement. He said, this trouble has been growing for some time. The first real break came in Detroit when our club came west, and at that time I was not feeling well. I was being troubled with dizziness when I started to run and asked for a leave of absence, which was granted by Mr. Stallings. I started for New York, and the papers the next morning carried stories to the effect that Hal Chase had deserted the Yankees team. An interview was printed with Mr. Stallings in one of the papers. It was alleged that I had merely served notice on him a half hour before my departure that I intended to leave the team. I then joined the club in St. Louis. One day I dropped a game. I joined them in St. Louis. One day I dropped a ball, a thing which any player might do, and I drew a roast for Mr. Stallings. If the roast had been brought on by a boneheaded play, I would have felt that I deserved it. The climax came in the first game of the series at Chicago, which our club lost. With Daniels on second, and myself at bat, the signal was given for the hit and run. I hit the ball, tipped a foul, which the catcher caught. Daniels, having started for third base, was easily thrown out. Nothing was said by Mr. Stallings then or later. That evening, I went to the theater. On my return to the hotel, I met one of the New York baseball reporters on the way to the telegraph office. Having asked him what the excitement was, he answered, I have an interview with Mr. Stallings to the effect that you are laying down on the team. So, Stallings told them that he would resign if Chase was not released. And they said, well, you can fuck off. We'll hire him. So that's how that worked. There you go. 1911 here. He is the manager for the whole season. Wow. They go 76, 76, and 1.
Uh-huh.
And then he quit as a manager the final season.
Yeah, because you're going to fucking be fired.
Plus, it's also a lot of work. You have to hit, then you have to deal with other people's bullshit, and who cares? Next up, 1911, he's getting in the acting game.
Is that right?
If you were famous back then, they just put you in movies.
You could put in anything. Yeah.
Yep. They said, it's called Hal Chase's Home Run. That's the name of it, too. I mean,
We're doing a baseball movie?
It's just him. And here's the description of it. Grace is somewhat disgusted with her sweetheart, Tom, because he's such an ardent fan and seems to give more attention to baseball than he does to her. Tom induces Grace to attend the game, and she becomes as enthusiastic as he is. There was an episode of American Dad like that where he took Francine to a Nationals game, and
now she loves the Nationals.
She became a huge fan. The home team slumps and the fans are quite disheartened. To clear things up, Tom asks Grace to marry her, but she replies that she will. It's a long fucking thing. So she replies that she will not give. Where is this? Her consent unless the home team wins the pennant.
Oh, yeah. So like Angels in the outfield.
Yeah, exactly. Quite discouraged, Tom calls on his friend Hal Chase. Hal says the team can win out if they capture a decisive game to be played that day. He assures Tom he will try his best to bring home the victory. It's like the kid in the hospital asked Babe Ruth to hit him a home run. But he's like, I want pussy.
She'll marry me if you guys win. All right, I'll see what I can do.
How great would it have been if that kid said, Babe, hit some home runs so I can get laid, please. That would have been great.
I'd love a blowjob. If you could hit a home run,
man.
I'll get a blowjob.
That'd be amazing.
Tell you what, kid, I'll hit the home run and I'll get the blowjob. Fair?
At the game, Tom and Grace are quite despondent when the game stands 2-0 in favor of the enemy in the last inning. With 2 men on base, Hal Chase knocks a home run and excitement reigns supreme. The home team it's every baseball movie that's ever been made. Is what it is. It's probably Fever Pitch. It's probably that because that was a couple. I don't know.
I think that's a subplot of Major League for sure.
It's Major League 2, I think it is. Yeah.
It's definitely Bull Durham.
it's every baseball fucking movie that's ever been played. The Babe Ruth one, the Pride of the Yankees probably has it in there.
It's kind of Sandlot too with fucking
with I didn't see 2.
Wendy Peppercorn. What?
I'm not watching that. Sandlot
no, also.
2? Oh. I was like, there was a Sandlot 2?
As well.
Okay. That's better. That made me angry. I got real angry for a second. I was like, there was a Sandlot 2 and you watched it? How dare you?
Wendy Peppercorn, Squints married her later, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, definitely. So they say that all happens. The home team has now won the pennant, and Tom has won his bride. When he calls to present Grace with the ring, Hal drops in on them and is heartily congratulated by the grateful fans.
Well, his wife's got a baby on a spit, and she just roasted it.
Just roasting it in the background.
We're getting married.
Holy shit. Hal also makes $8,000 that year.
Wow.
Which looks like it's the most on the team of anybody. October 22nd, by the way. Oh, this is from another thing. Okay. Here's a thing that they were reflecting on later. And one reporter says, I've been looking at big league games since 1908. This is an article written in 1952.
Jesus Christ. He's been watching for 35 years?
Wow. And in 1911, when Chase was managing the New York Highlanders, now the Yankees, I saw him make a play on a bunt to nip Ty Cobb at third base. No other player could have made that play. He stationed himself to the left of the mound. Russell Ford was pitching, fielded the ball near third base, the third baseline, and despite the fact that Cobb was off with the pitch, Chase's throw got him by a hair. It was a 0-0 game, 8th inning, none out, and if the bunt moved Cobb to third, he'd score on a fly ball. He goes on to say, only in the movies is where you see anything like that. But what Chase was doing to the left of the mound and why the batter didn't the batter bunt down the right field line, I'm assuming old-timer McVeigh means the left field side of the mound. Okay, that's interesting. 1911 here. 1911, he hits .315. So he's hitting fine, doing pretty well. He resigns as manager.
Yeah.
They said, quote, he was the best left-handed manager in the American League.
Is he double dipping, you think, with the salary? Is that
fuck yeah? That's why he's doing it,
right?
Yeah,
that's why he did it. Yeah,
absolutely. That's why he's getting $8,000. They said we'll give you $8,000, but you got to manage then, so we don't have to pay anybody. Then they said Wolverton will come in. Harry S. Wolverton, former player for the past few years, a successful manager of minor league teams, will come in. So yeah, he's coming in, and Hal doesn't want any fucking part of it, so he's happy with that. Yeah. So let's say, you know what, you go to the game, it's an afternoon game.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to find a way to get around on the town that night because it's a full day.
Yeah.
We have for you the what the fuck is this? The Hopmobile, I believe this is called.
What is that?
This is a General Motor touring car, so I think it's General Motors. It's a car. Check it out. 1912 demand continues unabated. Look at that bad boy.
1912 Chevy.
It is just that. Like they look back then, like a carriage with like fucking wheels on it and a motor in the front. That's
so you got a coupe. What other models is it?
The coupe is $1,100.
Okay.
The FD touring car is $900. The Torpedo's $850.
The fuck is that?
And the Roadster is $750.
Okay.
So there are 5 Hupmobile coupes to one of any other make in the use in St. Louis. So all the
More
cars are
coupes than
these.
everything. Yeah.
All the cars in St. Louis are these. All in the hands of the most particular people. And then there's a quote: "The car owned by men of millions, and which millions can afford to own." So there you go. You can do that.
Millionaires? There's a millionaire back then?
No, millions can afford to own.
Oh, okay,
owned by men. Oh, so owned by millionaires, and it's also cheap enough so
yeah.
anyone can afford it. So
Sure.
good enough for millionaires, but affordable enough for you. That's what
There
they
it
said,
is,
basically.
yeah.
So 19 to accepting way more around the fucking
That's a
Ben
lot of
language.
words.
So 1912 Yankees, under Harry Wolverton, they go 50, 102, and 1.
Yikes.
Terrible. They play half their games at the Polo Grounds that year and only get 242,000 people in attendance.
Okay.
Holy shit, that's not a lot at all. That is.
Well, no, because they fucking stink.
There's a guy named Klondike Smith on the team, by the way.
Hell yeah.
Hippo Vaughn, Homer Thompson, Hippo Vaughn, fucking Gabby Street, Klondike Smith, Hack Simmons. Jesus Christ, these are all fucking names on this team. That is amazing. That's
Gabby Simmons? That's nice that they allowed her to play.
Yeah, that's very nice. It's Cozy Dolan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they allowed her. That was good. She came in. She could do it. She burned a baby. They were terrified. They let her play. Hal hits 274 that year. Okay. They said he signed a 3-year contract for the Yankees before the 1913 season coming up, but his hitting had fell off in 1913. He won't hit as well. He has a lot of injuries. And again, now Frank Chance says that he worries that Chase is laying down. So people keep saying, it's weird. They keep saying it's just a play here or there, but it seems like he's just taking plays off. It's very strange. We'll find out why, because he's being fucking bribed. He's taking... He's being bribed all over the place. He's throwing games. He's throwing games left and right.
He loves money.
Yeah, he will take bribes. That's why everybody says he's laying down. But, well, he hit 300. How's he laying down? Because he does it at very specific times when it's important. Yeah. Chance clarified that he was referring to the question whether Chase would put forth the effort necessary to overcome the current slump. He was like, listen, I wasn't saying he was a piece of shit or anything.
It's much easier to throw games when you're managing, too.
Yeah, well, he wasn't managing then.
So when the
maybe he was
right,
maybe he was at the time, but at this time he's not managing, and they're saying he's still laying down. So,
but in the past, it's possible too.
Absolutely. This is under manager Frank Chance. They finished 57-94-2. Not good at all. No. Very, very bad, as a matter of fact. He is traded though in the middle of 1913 by the Yankees to the Chicago White Sox for Raleigh Zeider and Babe Borton.
Yeah.
Yeah, got to get Babe Borton in there. That's a different Babe trade that you don't hear as much about for the Yankees.
That's a terrible choice.
So he goes to the White Sox at that point, who are 78-74-1 that year, but they're first in attendance.
Really?
In the whole fucking league. Yeah, they are 644,501. First in attendance.
Chicago fucking supports their teams.
They support everything. We go there. They sell tons of tickets. They're a great fucking town.
Great people.
They want to go out, man. Their houses must suck in that town because
what
they all
is going
on
with your homes?
They want to go out really bad. They really do.
The Bulls are always sold out. The Bears are always packed. The
everything,
Cubs, the fucking White Sox. You guys go to everything.
You love shit. Yeah, you like to go out. Concerts. People love playing concerts there. Comedy shows.
Your fucking
he does
Blackhawks get people in the seats. Is incredible.
He only hit 212 for the Yankees, but hit 286 for the White Sox that year.
Mm-hmm.
So 1914. This is when the Federal League comes in. This was a pirate league that came in that they had some money too. They were trying to come in and be the new major league. They stole tons of players from the majors. I mean, tons of them. You look at a bunch of old Hall of Famers, they all have this 1914 where they went to a different league. So he jumped to the newly formed Federal League. He went to Comiskey Park to pick up his belongings on June 20th. And gave Comiskey, the owner, 10 days' notice. Then he went immediately to the North Side Park, which is Wrigley, it's not called that, I don't think, at the time, where he joined the Buffalo Federals, the Feds. He collected a single and a double in 4 trips before 10,000 people showed up that day for that. On June 22nd, Comiskey got an injunction order, but Chase could not be served, having left for Ontario, Canada, to await. He was avoiding service.
Yeah.
On the 25th, he returned to the lineup for Buffalo against Pittsburgh. He struck out in the first inning, and then in the second inning was presented with the injunction order by the local sheriff. Came right out on first base and served it to him. Oh, man. Got something for you, big guy. On July... Hal, over here. On July 1st, Chase brought suit in Buffalo to vacate the injunction. The case began on July 9th, and on July 21st, the judge ruled in favor of Chase, becoming the first and one of the only players to successfully challenge the reserve clause. So they talk about this wasn't totally broken until the 70s, but people were challenging it 65 years earlier, because this was Kurt Flood as the famous guy who challenged it, but other guys had challenged it before.
And
Kurt Flood just, it was in a different time with more media on it, and it was a bigger deal. So it broke the whole thing, whereas this, they just kind of let it slip under the radar. He returned to the lineup the next day, and the ensuing animosity between Comiskey and Chase would pretty much bar Chase from ever playing in the American League again at that point. So, yeah, he didn't do that much for them. The 1914 Buffalo Feds, though, finished 80-71. And, Hal was playing there. Hal's only like 5'8", by the way.
He's still young. He's still 30, right?
Yeah, he's still a young guy. He hit 347 for Buffalo that year.
Yeah, I'd stay there, too.
He was crushing shit. 1915, the Buffalo Blues, they changed their name to, and they are 74-78. Good for 6th in the Federal League. And he, this year, what are his stats here? He hit 291, leading the league with 17 home runs.
Awesome.
As well. So at the conclusion of this, January 1916, here, the Chase was declared property of the Federal League. The White Sox had not put a claim for him, and he had been blacklisted by the American League. He negotiated with the Pacific Coast League, San Francisco Seals, but the PCL salary limit of $4,000 would have to be circumvented. He wanted more money. Finally, his Federal League contract was sold to Cincinnati of the National League, and he signed with the Reds for $8,333 a year, a 3-year contract for $25,000, which was like, that was like
looking for.
Oh man, that was the big deal back there. It was like, holy shit, that's gonna blow baseball up, man.
Yeah.
It's too much. So he jumps from the Blues to the Reds, and then the Federal League will fold, and he has good timing. The Reds that year are 60-93-2.
Ouch.
They had three fucking managers that year.
Yeah.
That's not great.
$25,000 though. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. He's doing fine. He's like, I'm here for the money. I don't know if you noticed that. Christy Mathewson is even manager for part of the time.
Really?
He is the Hall of Fame pitcher who got his lungs roasted in World War I by mustard gas and ended up dying at a young age here. His debut with the Reds was on April 16th against Pittsburgh. He replaced a guy named German Fritz Malwitz. We knew you were German. Hey, Fritz.
Yeah.
Hey, Fritz. That's like saying he replaced Italian James Pietragallo. We get it. We understand. Who had been ejected from the game. Hal doubled and then stole third and stole home.
Wow.
As well. That's a way to make your presence known in your first game. And then he had another hit later on. That year he hit 339 for a league high, actually, 339. 184 hits for a career high. Or no, not career. 1906 he had more. So not bad. 1917, the Reds, they're like a 500 team. Christy Mathewson is the manager, fresh back from fighting the Kaiser.
Yeah.
That's so amazing, by the way, how many of these guys were in the fucking wars back then.
Fighting
it's wild.
The first one, yeah.
There's a guy named Greasy Neal on his team.
Oh, fantastic.
Greasy Neal. Greasy,
Italian.
they call him. Yeah, he's an Italian guy. Neale. Italian. Greasy. Hey, Greasy. That year he leads the league in at bats, actually. Only hits 277, though, which isn't terrible. But in case you were wondering, remember I prefaced this earlier on purpose to give you to tell you what this was so we could dive into it. The personal ads for that day, the Laredo Weekly Times, February 17th, 1918.
What are they saying in Texas?
Dr. W.M. Clune of Dolores is in the city. That's a whole entry.
Who gives a shit fuck?
Oh, W.M. Clume is it? Honey, the Clumes are in town.
He has a doctor. Leave him the fuck alone. He might be on vacation.
Right? J.A. Vidori of San Antonio arrived in the city yesterday. Well, that's good to know.
He's from the town over. Who gives a shit? What are the chances?
Oh, no. He wandered in. Chase F. Eckert of Corpus Christi arrived in the city yesterday.
Unbelievable.
G.A. Wellhausen of Encinal is in the city for a short visit. So if you want to get to him, you really got to hurry.
You better hurry. If you want to have a drink with the guy, Jesus.
What the fuck? E.R. Ames expects to leave this evening for San Antonio on a business trip. Everybody's business is... Who are the reporters going around going, so you say you're here for a short time. Okay. There's nothing going on. You're going away on a business trip?
Anytime soon?
Yeah, you are. Do you have to stop at the newspaper office on your way out of town to check in or check out?
Is that where the welcome book is at?
Miguel de la Carza of Rendado is in the city for a visit to his family. Great. Gray and Preston Childers returned last night to their home in Catula after spending the day in this city. Terrific.
One fucking day.
You literally put it in the newspaper that they came in for a day trip to fucking wherever this was. Laredo? 1918, 68, 60-1, the Reds are. That's not enough games. I don't know what happened that year, but certainly not enough games for a whole season. But anyway, that's the Reds suck back then, so it doesn't matter. Okay, then here we go. This is from some jokes from the newspaper, which is what I wanted to show you. Yeah. The Huntingburg Argus is the name of the paper.
Where the fuck is that?
Who knows? July 26, 1918. They had a humor section, all these papers. Some little jokes.
Little
you know
light
what I mean?
Side.
Yeah. Here we go. It's called A Few Smiles is the name of the section.
How many smiles?
Here's one called Wise Mabel.
Uh-huh.
Louise, 9 years old, asked her mother, "Where is Pap going?" "To a stag party," Mom replied.
What?
"What is a stag party, Mama?"
Oh, God.
Sister Mabel, 7 years old, who had been listening with the dignified attitude of superior wisdom, answered instantly, "It's where they stagger. Didn't you know?"
Okay, so they're going to get drunk.
That's a joke.
Yeah. Didn't you know?
That makes Bazooka Joe comics look like they were written by comic geniuses here. Here's another.
You can drop the "didn't you know." Just say that's where they go to stagger. That's the joke.
That's the joke. Didn't you know? Because she's being a twat. That's part of the joke, I guess. Everybody's too wordy back then. Fucking brevity is the fucking key to humor here.
Chop the fat.
Yeah, cut the fat. Preferred Richard is the name of the next one. Preferred Dick is this
Preferred
guy.
Dick, yeah.
Preferred Dick. It was the first time that Richard's father had seen, quote, her, and they were talking things over. I guess his son's girlfriend. I don't know. "So my son has proposed to you," he said, "and you have accepted him? I think you might have seen me first." She blushed sweetly and replied, "I did, but I think I prefer Richard."
That's a joke?
That's a joke. That's a joke.
So dad's coming on to his son's
I
now
think
fiance.
you saw me first. And she's like, no, I'll fuck your son. It's a real knee slapper, huh?
Don't try to fuck your kid's fiance. She will turn you down. And it hurts. It's
Comedy's hard. Where's the next part where the son comes in and shoots his father in the chest with a revolver? Because that was how it would work back then.
Both barrels right in the heart.
Here's another, Joe. You ready for more, Jimmy? Or are you?
Boy.
Can you catch your breath from the last one yet?
Let me catch my breath for a sec.
Okay, this is a quick one.
Yeah.
It's called No Danger. I understand.
It's got a title.
They all have titles. Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
"I understand, Mrs. Grumpy, there was a great deal of vacillation in your family." And the answer is, yes, but none of it ever took.
What?
That vacillation, moving. Oh my God! Oh,
what is vacillation? Am I missing something?
It's
Probably
nothing
not.
took because they did a lot of different things. She said, "Yeah, but none of them took," which was the point of it. That's why it's not funny.
Johnny Depp ruined the word grumpy for me forever.
Grumpy and Aquaman. Because I can't hear the word Aquaman ever again to say. Aquaman. Just hear that. Aquaman. Here's another joke. You know what?
Okay.
Fuck it. Let's go in with the jokes. A rational conclusion, this is called.
Yeah.
The Binkses must buy everything on the installment plan. What makes you think so? I heard Jimmie Binks ask his father whether the new baby would be taken away if they couldn't keep up the payments. Ugh.
They're so broke they might lose their baby.
They might take the baby back. They had to buy it. And then the final one is, it's called Easy.
Yeah.
Okay. Wife says this: your Aunt Maria is coming to visit us, but really, I don't see how I can find time to entertain her. Husband: invite your Aunt Eliza and they will entertain each other telling about their diseases.
That's a good closer right there.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like someone who doesn't speak English tried to translate a joke into English. But it doesn't work the same with the language because they're like, they'll entertain each other telling about their diseases rather than like the funny way to say that, which would be they'll bitch about all the stuff.
Invite your sick aunt and let them just talk about their diseases.
Yeah. If you ever hear a foreigner unravel a joke, it's hilarious because that's what they do, and that's exactly what it sounds like. It's so fucking funny.
That's a pretty good joke if it's like worded well.
If you word it well, yeah, they'll keep each other company, bitching about their fucking psoriasis, and this one's got the gout, and this one's got fucking...
Let them compare their psoriasis to the other one's gout.
Yeah. They both have bitch disease.
Sweats.
Have them come over and talk about it.
Or sugar shakes.
Sugar shakes.
Alopecia.
You and your fucking alopecia.
Oh, that's funny.
August 8th, 1918.
Mm-hmm.
The New Britain Herald, this is.
Yeah.
Hal Chase punished for loose playing. Loose.
Oh, for playing it fast and loose. He's not doing well.
I guess Red
He's
Star.
not taking it serious.
Red Star first baseman penalized by, quote, Maddie. And it's in quotes. I don't know why it's in quotes. I guess that's the manager's name and whatever. So Hal Chase, first baseman of the Cincinnati Reds, was indefinitely suspended yesterday by Christy Mathewson, or Christopher Mathewson. That's not even Christy.
That's Maddie.
That's Christy. That's Maddie. Christy Mathewson, manager of the team, for indifferent playing. Sherwood McGee, what is this? Howard first for the Cincinnati Nine at the Polo Grounds yesterday. It's so hard to read because the print is light in some of these letters. And it appears more than probable that Sherwood would be kept at the post until the abbreviated season closes. The career of Chase as a big leaguer has been considerably checkered. The Yanks were the first team to get a line on the ability of Hal, who, while in his teens, was cutting wide swaths in the diamonds of the Pacific Coast League. The Yank scouts finally grabbed Hal, and he was the big drawing card for the local American League team when it played on the Hilltop grounds. Hal at first delivered his best, and it was some best, but too much acclaim and praise swelled the youngster's head to such an extent that he aspired to the managership of the Yanks, a position he finally attained. Chase as a manager was a failure, although it may be assumed that he did his best. I don't know, they were .500. That's better than anybody else was doing for the Yankees at that time. When the Federal League War broke out, Hal was one of the first Major League players to nibble at the big money bait offered by the outlaw organization. He joined the Buffalo Club and remained there until peace was made in baseballdom and the feds threw up the sponge. For a long time, Chase tried vainly to land a job with his old associates. Ban Johnson, who was the president of the American League, refused to permit him entry into the American League, and it was not until Matty took pity on Hal that he later came back to the big show. It was often said that Hal was Matty's right-hand man in the conduct of the Reds. So he was like his assistant coach, basically.
Right.
He was like the bench coach sitting there with him. And his playing first at the bat had led the Redland fans to hope that a pennant so long hoped for in Gary Herman's town might finally be a reality.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party. So
Yeah, that's what's up. But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from Law and Crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
Keep waiting, guys. Judging from the action taken by Matty yesterday, Hal has reverted to type. It may have been due to the heat, or it may have been due to Hal's recognized eccentricity. So, August 27th, 1918, the Saskatoon Daily Star.
Hell yeah.
Hal Chase is in trouble again. Not a news item particularly, for Hal Chase is always in trouble, it seems. Right. Chase is one of the strangest and most unfortunate characters that baseball ever knew, is the next sentence.
Really?
Wow. A strange and unfortunate character is a funny fucking... unfortunate character. That has to be the title of this show. Let's see. He has been suspended from organized baseball and accused of throwing ball games and betting on the result. Now they're accusing
laying
him
charges,
of this.
leveling them against him.
In public. He's accused of attempting to bribe other players to lose, because that's when you get caught, is when you start bribing other guys, and to be generally connected to the gambling element. Chase claims that 3 members of the Cincinnati club, Groh, Sherwood McGee, and Neal, old Greasy, don't trust Greasy,
those palms,
have clicked together to get him off the team. The prevailing opinion seems to be that the great Hal Chase has played his last game in organized baseball. The career of this brilliant and eccentric Californian is filled with bricks and roses. He has had his share of cheers and jeers alike. He's credited with being the best first baseman that ever towed the bag. Like we said, his stats are very mediocre in modern whatever. He came out to the West in 1905. All right, we know all that. On the other hand, he was regarded as a troublemaker and undermined George Stallings, who was then the manager of the Yankees, when he succeeded Stallings and made a rank failure of the managerial job. A rank failure now, not just a failure. He's been accused of not giving his best effort on several occasions. And lastly, in Cincinnati, he jumped to the California Outlaw League in 1908. Hal Chase showed his appreciation and ability by leading the National League in batting with an average of .339 in 1916, but he's apparently slipped again, and for the last time. That's right. Now, they're basically booting him from the league. He hit .301 that year. They're
300 hitter, and he's out.
He's out. They're accusing him of trying to get other players to
he's
lose
organizing
games.
it. Yeah.
And because who do you ask if you want to bribe somebody? Greasy. You ask Greasy.
Yeah.
And he's saying, those guys are just setting me up.
Okay.
For what reason, I don't know. 1919, January 10th, the Oregon Daily Journal says, quote, Hal Chase asking for open hearing on gambling case. He said, Hal Chase, who's under suspicion by the Cincinnati club on charges of being too friendly with members of a clique which gambles on baseball results, wants a hearing of his case held in the open, according to a local afternoon newspaper. Chase is quoting as saying that he wants no secrecy and that he is confident he can clear himself of all charges made against him.
Really?
I guess so here. So January 22nd, 1919, he is to be placed on trial by organized baseball now.
Okay.
Yeah. They said that he, at the same time, Mathewson stated he did not see how it would be possible for a wonderful baseball player to again be seen in the big league circles. Chase was practically accused of being identified with gambling. Hal strenuously denies this. They said Chase and McGraw are said to have been talking over the possibility of Hal playing with the New York team. The hearing will attract considerable attention in baseball over the country. I guess he's going to go possibly play for the Giants here. So they said that Hal has been in several messes in baseball in the past, but none so grave as this. He's a wonderful player, but many disturbances among ball players have been charged to this quiet, unassuming man. Now, by the way, the manager of the Giants and his best pitcher will act as witnesses for the league.
Oh.
So what are they going to do? Because they want to sign him, that's weird. So they said Hal will be remembered by Buffalo fans for the great way in which he covered first base for the Buffalo Federal team. He was in charge of the team here for a brief time. It was common gossip that Chase and Larry Shafley, the one-time manager, could not agree, but when Harry Lord became manager of the Buffeds, the peerless first baseman appeared to be better pleased and even have played better baseball. The outcome of the trial will be awaited with interest. So they had closed hearings. They weren't open. Before National League President John Heidler. They began on January 30th, 1919. This was the time that Christy Mathewson was away with the Army in Europe. I don't know if he was doing some kind of tour or whatever the fuck. But they said Jimmie Ring, Mike Regan, and Greasy Neal of the Reds testified against Chase, as did Paul Parrott and manager John McGraw of the Giants. So they all testified against him. Parrott claimed that on the day of a doubleheader in Cincinnati on July 17, 1918, Chase asked him which game he was going to pitch. Parrott said he didn't know, so Chase said, "I wish you'd tip me off because if I know which game you'll pitch and connect with a certain party, you'll have nothing to fear." Parrott reported this to McGraw, saying the players ought to drive Chase from baseball. So they're saying the other team's going to throw one of these games. So you tell me which game you're pitching, and then I could tell you, I could tell them which game to throw, and that way you'll have a great game. So that's nice. Ring testified that in 1917 he was asked to pitch in relief with the score tied and 2 runners on. As he was warming up, Chase came over from first base and said, "I've got some money bet on this game, kid. There's something in it for you if you lose." Jesus. Ring
I didn't expect this to be this close at this point in the game, but now that it is, why don't you throw this one, would you?
Why don't you, I'll cut you in here. What are we doing? So he said, the pitcher said he didn't go along with it, but lost anyway. Because even if you're trying to win, you can still lose. It's fucking baseball. Nobody goes, well, I'm trying to win, so I'll win every time now.
I mean, right. Obviously, if I'm trying, I win.
So in the lobby of the Majestic Hotel in Philadelphia the next morning, Chase walked by Ring and dropped a $50 bill in his lap.
Oh.
Which is big money back then, a $50 bill. That's a lot of fucking money. So Ring reported the incident to Christy Mathewson, the manager.
What the fuck, dude?
It was like that's what I mean. Now, Greasy Neal said that Chase boasted after a doubleheader loss at Philadelphia in 1918 that he had won $500.
Pretty good day for me, you guys.
Yeah. And see, that's the bet. That's why this is worse, and I don't like them lumping Pete Rose in with guys like this.
Yeah.
He's betting on his team to lose.
Right.
Pete Rose has never been accused of throwing shit. He bet on his team to win. The only thing is he tipped off gamblers when he didn't think they would win because those are the games he didn't bet. Right. So that meant that don't bet this game. It was a big tip-off. Pete didn't bet. So
we
the
may
lines
lose,
would move.
so yeah.
So anyway, Neal said all that he was going to lay down. Later here, Neal also said that he won $500, and later Chase advised Neal to bet $200 on the Reds, saying this is the day for the Reds to win. Mathewson said in an affidavit that after carefully watching Chase during the season, he was convinced he was laying down at times. The manager, who was a player and a great player too,
he knows
Mathewson's
how he plays. Yeah,
one of the best pitchers of all time. You can tell what's going on a ball
he knows
field
what
where
he's capable of. Yeah.
fans don't see it. New York sports writer Sid Mercer appeared as a character witness for Chase, and Hal in his own defense goes, he's a great quote, probably. Please let this guy back in the league. Hal, in his own defense, testified that he had only bet on the outcome of 2 baseball games in his life, a postseason game between Cincinnati and Cleveland, and once when he was a spectator at the Polo Grounds, just watching a game. None of his testimony was made public until October 1st, 1920, but on February 5th, 1919, which is a year and a half later, for Christ's sake, Heidler, who was the National League president, said, the testimony shows that Chase acted in a careless manner, both on the field and among the players, and that this club was justified in bringing the charges in view of the many rumors which arose from the loose talk of the first baseman. In substance, the player was charged with making wagers against his club in games in which he participated. In justice to Chase, I feel bound to state that both the evidence and the records of the games to which references were made fully refute this accusation. So it's a big muddy mess is what that is, basically.
Yeah, but he's bragging about what he's doing.
That's what I mean. He brags to people, then he goes, I don't know what they're talking about. Well, he lies. He said I didn't play in those games when everyone watched him play in those games. He just lies. You saw it with your own eyes. And he goes, no, you didn't. This is what actually happened. Oh, okay.
So he's
and people
betting
believe
on
him.
everything then. He's got to be. Whether
He's
or
a
not
total dick.
whether he bets on win or loss doesn't really matter. If he doesn't know whether or not they could win or lose, he's betting on something else.
He's betting on something, or he's getting a couple bucks to lay down, or he's laying down on his own to win his own bets.
Right.
So they said the President Heidler reserves decision after hearing evidence. So he heard the evidence and then said, I'm not sure yet, which isn't what you do. Imagine if you heard all the evidence and the jury went, I don't know, give us like 6 months and we'll think about it and we'll go back. No, you deliberate now. Give us a decision. What the fuck are you doing?
Figure it out.
So John Heidler at headquarters of the National League, after hearing witnesses for both Chase and the Cincinnati club for more than 5 hours, he said, not quite sure yet. He said he would give the evidence careful and thorough consideration before making a finding. Chase is charged, obviously, with violating Section 40 of the league constitution, which states any person who shall be proven guilty of offering, agreeing, conspiring, or attempting to cause any game of ball to result otherwise than on its merits under the playing rules shall be forever disqualified by the president of the league from acting as umpire, manager, or player in any other capacity in any game of ball participated in by a league club. That's still the rule.
Yeah.
They've never changed the wording, I don't even think, of that rule. That's still the rule.
That's a lot of words.
No betting on baseball, period.
Right.
That's it.
That's the end of it.
He said it was not until after the hearing yesterday that it was announced officially just what the charges were against Chase. They didn't even announce them publicly. It is 5 months since Mathewson made the charges against Chase. The reason given by the league for the delay is at the time of the charges were made in August, President Tenner had resigned and the organization had no president. So they were waiting on getting a new president here. Chase was suspended in August and his salary was cut off, so then he brought suit against Cincinnati for back salary, and now that's in the courts. So they're saying you're suspended, and he's saying you didn't pay me. So now there's 2 separate court hearings going on here.
And we've heard a shitload about gambling in baseball between the Black Sox, Pete Rose. If we've heard this many, the amount is crazy.
It's fucking way more.
And basketball has got to be fucking incredible.
From back in the day. And football, too, for that matter.
Yeah. But football would be harder, I think.
It's harder.
Unless you're a kicker.
It's also the most lucrative because it's the easiest to bet on.
Yeah.
So there's I read this whole book, and obviously now there's a whole conspiracy theory about how the NFL picks its Super Bowl teams out early. That's a load of shit.
That's crazy, yeah.
That's crazy because guess what? You can say, okay, it's going to be Kansas City and San Francisco, and that's why they made their logo, those colors and all. The Aaron Rodgers horse shit that he said. Right. What if Patrick Mahomes blew out his ACL in week 1?
What if so many of those people blew out their fucking ACL in week 1? What do you do then?
But it's definitely going to be those 2. Okay, now Patrick Mahomes is gone. Are the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
No, they're not going to the Super Bowl. No. So guess what? It's over. You can't do that. Right. It's impossible with football. So that's a load of shit.
You can't say it was going to be the 49ers for sure. Brock Purdy, what he's done is it's impossible, and he's somehow done it. And putting the purple in there, so that would mean the Ravens were going to go. But the Ravens, what they've done is impossible, and then to fuck it away at the end isn't because we said, well, there's purple in the logo, so that means the Ravens are going to be in it. So now the NFL changed the script. Go fuck yourself. Stop with your.
That would be so hard.
Stop fixing the narrative to fit your fucking theory. Fuck
they're
you.
Like, that
Stop
fumble at the end and all that.
Stop it.
Let me tell you something. Watch a football movie.
Yeah.
And think about how difficult it would be to coordinate everybody doing these things.
Write it. Yeah.
To work out perfectly like that. Now imagine that with no director, no take 2.
Yeah.
No take 2. If you fuck it up, everybody's watching. 50 million people are watching.
And
it's impossible.
At least 60 guys on each team going along with it.
You get to a ref, you get to a quarterback. Yeah. That's how you can fucking do it. And that's how there's a book called Interference, and there's this whole line of these conspiracy books that they have.
Sure.
And this is one of them. And it's very interesting because there's tons from FBI files from back in the day of gamblers testifying before the FBI saying, this is how I fixed a shitload of football games.
Right.
These are the games that were fixed, and they go through them, and it's real. We'll do a Patreon on it because it's really interesting.
There's a Super Bowl. Which was Super Bowl 2 or Super Bowl 1?
Three.
Yeah.
The Namath Super Bowl. That's
Right.
the one. There's a Frontline episode on it from 1980, and they had the gangsters on the show saying, "This is what we did to throw it."
Yeah, we did it.
It aired one time, and then they never aired it again, and they wouldn't
Find
do it.
it.
So it's out there. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can watch
Get
it.
out there
so
and watch it.
check it out. It's interesting stuff. And it seems possible.
Very plausible. Yeah.
It could
For
happen.
sure.
Basketball, very easy because you could just dribble off your foot. And there's only five guys.
And there's so many points being scored. So
many.
You could go either way. It's so easy.
And you could get a guy, let's say you get the point guard is the guy you want to get, obviously.
Yeah.
So you got your point guard, and he can dribble around and run the clock down, then dribble off his foot and lose possession.
Right.
And it's very easy
or
to
an
fuck
errant
up.
pass, whatever.
Yeah,
It's so
and it
easy.
looks, I mean, it's
It looks
basketball.
real.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It looks really hard. Or intentionally turn it over, you know, that's just, that guy was playing great defense.
Right.
It's the way it happens, where football is, the more people, obviously, harder. And in baseball, you need the pitcher, period.
Right. That's it.
So, February 6th, 1919, the Chattanooga News, this is amazing. Hal Chase cleared of gambling charge.
Really?
How is he cleared of a gambling charge?
He admitted it.
He came, and on the stand, he said, I gambled on a couple games, but I never gambled on our games, and blah, 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 blah. He admitted he gambled on the one Reds game that he played in even, and they still clear him. And his teammate said he tried to bribe me to fucking throw games.
He tried to get us to go along with it.
That's how much they want him to play because he's a draw.
Yeah,
and back then, there's no TV revenue.
Right.
There's no radio deal, TV deal, sponsorships. The stadiums aren't named after a major thing. There's no market in China. None of this shit exists. The money you make is on fucking tickets and hot dogs, period.
And the radio call, is that just like they own that because they're broadcasting it? It's just
it's the press.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
press
the press
covering
on
the
it.
game.
Yeah.
But then later on, now there's after a while
Yeah.
they would have contracts to pay for that, so you'd be the exclusive one or whatever like that. So, but back then there's no out of
You could have
revenue.
30
All the
guys.
revenue, all the revenue is ticket sales, hot dogs, beer. That's your revenue. So that's a tough one. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a lot of revenue.
Stupid fucking pens in the gift shop.
Yeah, if you have a star, he's going to play because that's a draw. So that's straight money in your pocket. So they say Star accused of violating Section 40. First Sacker plans to enter suit against Cincinnati club. So now he's going to sue the club.
Yeah.
So they say that he was cleared yesterday of charges of throwing games preferred against him by the Cincinnati club. He was declared not guilty by President John A. Heidler of the National League, who acted as judge after a week's study of the evidence and for and against him. He said, quote, "It was nowhere established that the accused was interested in any pool or wager that caused any game to result otherwise than on its own merits." So that's fucking amazing. Even though they all said that seems
fishy. Yeah. And he
fishy.
said, I did it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He stated that the president here stated in a general way that the actual charges involving Chase implied that he had bet on games. In speaking of the case, he said that manager Mathewson's charge was more or less general complaint against Chase's conduct and talk upon the ball field, but that there was little to which specific in its relation to the real charge upon which the trial was based. What? Okay, they should have held the trial when Mathewson was there, since he was the one who made the accusation.
Right.
He's the manager. Yet that seems very on purpose that they had that while he's not there, so they could brush it under the rug. That's what it seems like to me. So they said the testimony showed, this is Heidler, that Chase acted in a foolish and careless manner in both on the field and among the players, that the club was justified in bringing the charges in view of the many rumors which arose from the loose talk of its first baseman. Chase did not take his work seriously and was entirely to blame for the position which he found himself. There was, however, no proof that he intentionally violated or attempted to violate the rules in relation to tampering with players, or in any way endeavored to secure desired results in the outcome of games.
I did it. No, you didn't.
Yeah. No, you didn't. Okay. I guess you didn't.
I'm going to sue them then.
I didn't. So he is. It says Chase refused to talk to the press when informed of the verdict.
Yeah.
I'm so indignant that they even accused me of this.
I don't want to talk about it because anything I say is going to fuck my case up.
Hard. His lawyers issued a statement for him which declared that the legal action would be continued to obtain full redress from the Cincinnati club, which caused his suspension, without cause, he said, and held up payment of his salary. So President Heidler said in his findings that the interests of the public and of the game of baseball are far more important than the fate of any individual. Maybe not. Heidler also served warning that any National League player who bets on a game, either for or against his team, whether or not he plays in the game, will be expelled from the league.
Okay.
Unless you come in and everybody says you did it and I decide you didn't. Fucking ridiculous. By the way, here's an interesting thing right underneath that. Run down by auto.
Oh?
CC Hedges, assistant ticket agent, fatally injured in Knoxville. CC Hedges, assistant city ticket agent of the Southern Railway here, was run over and fatally injured by an automobile driven by Houston Carnes, a young businessman. That's
Those
just
cars
underneath.
do 12 miles an hour. Get the fuck out of the way.
You'd get a goddamn ticket for going 25 back then.
Right.
They used to give tickets for. Remember we found the one guy who got a ticket for going 24? We're like, you
cars,
fucking
they
speedy
barely
devil.
move, for shit's sake.
Oh, my God, man. So at this point here, February 19th, Chase is traded to the Giants, to McGraw, who was a witness against him.
Huh.
He was a fucking witness against him.
Huh.
Think about that.
So is he suing so that he could get him and keep him in line?
No, he wasn't suing. He was fucking testifying against him and then traded for him.
Wow.
That makes no fucking sense
None.
whatsoever. They traded him for Walter Hawk and Bill Raridan. Chase dropped his suit for back pay with Cincinnati and signed with the Giants on March 4th. Now, Mathewson, who had returned to the States, also signed with the Giants as an assistant manager and coach the same day.
I don't know. Jim Irsay said that Tom Brady was deflating balls, and I guarantee Jim Irsay would have loved to pay a salary to Tom Brady.
But what the fuck? You don't sign Tom Brady and Rex Ryan on the same day. That's the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a weird fucking thing to do. This makes no. So you sign the manager who accused him and the two people who testified against him. They're all going to be together in one big clusterfuck.
This ought to be a fun season.
What the fuck is that? Holy shit. By the way, when he gets to the Giants, he immediately forms a two-man game-fixing ring with a teammate of his. Immediately.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, now he knows his time is limited, too. He's getting long in the tooth, so make that cash, baby.
And he can get away with it.
That's what I mean. What are they going to do? Have a trial and tell me I was fine? This Heine Zimmerman is this guy's name, who was no stranger to Heine. Yeah, right in the Heine. Right in the Heine Zimmerman, who was no stranger to repeated accusations of laying down on the job.
Yeah.
Chase and Zimmerman attempted to bribe three other Giants players, Fred Toney, Rube Benton, and Benny Koff, to throw games. Cubs infielder Buck Herzog also got in on the action, offering a bribe to Benton at Chase's urging. You should bribe this guy. He's up for it. That, by the way, this is happening in 1919.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the peak of baseball gambling. As we know, that's the Black Sox scandal. That's all of that. And that is where we're going to leave off this week. We're getting a part 2 from Hal Chase.
Holy shit, Hal.
Where part 2 is the fast downhill fucking ski slope of a disastrous life that turns into a pile of shit very quickly.
Let's chase Hal.
Very quickly. So there you go, everybody. That is Hal Chase. We'll jump into it in 1919 for his demise, and it's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So if you like that, tell the world about it, please.
Do.
Get on whatever app, whatever the fuck your platform is you listen on. There's usually a way to rate and review. Mm-hmm. Give us 5 stars. Also, tell people about it. That's the other thing. The best way to spread the show is to tell your friends, post about it on social media, shit like that. We could advertise it all day. Mm-hmm. But we all know, you hear a commercial, goes in one ear, out the other. If your friend tells you, dude, this fucking shit's funny,
hang on to that.
Listen to it. You go, maybe I'll give that a shot.
Yep.
So do that. It helps out a lot. Definitely head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. Merchandise, everything from skateboards to coffee mugs with every logo and every saying on it. You can also get tickets to live shows for Small Town Murder, and they're selling fucking fast. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
The Phoenix show is in November, and it's been sold out for 3 weeks already. Right. So trust us. Get your tickets right now. New York and Boston at the end of the year. are already selling really fast. Get those tickets immediately for that. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com. You certainly want Patreon. That is, how would you not want it? Patreon.com/crimeinsports is where you get all of your bonus material. $5 a month, everybody. Think about your what you buy, and everybody, we all buy shit and this and that.
Look at
$5 is people throw that away on anything. Yeah. You can get something awesome for your $5. A back catalog of a couple hundred episodes to binge on immediately of Patreon stuff, and then you're going to get 2 new ones every other week. 1 Crime and Sports, 1 Small Town Murder, and you get it all, baby. And this week, what you're going to get for Crime and Sports, we're going to talk about Paul Sasso, who was a 1970s World Football League owner and in the mafia. So it's very interesting. A fucking a literal gangster who owned a fucking team. And the results are exactly what you would think it would be for a gangster owning, because they don't have normal ways of dealing with business. They strong arm and shit like that. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's
People
fun. And then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about the weird, strange tale of Natalia Grace, the Ukrainian, we'll talk it into her disease that she has and all that. Adoptee, double adoptee at this point, because she's moved on to somebody else now. And we'll talk about the dad whose tears pop out of his eyes like they're coming out of a catapult. Though it's a weird story.
Strange people. Yeah.
We'll talk all about it. We have opinions, obviously, on somebody's lying. I think everybody's lying. Maybe we'll talk all about it. Patreon.com/crimeinsports is where you get all of that stuff and more. And you also get a shout out coming up in a second. Before that, though, definitely head over to Crime and Sports social media, which is pretty much at Crime and Sports everywhere on the internet. And also it's on Instagram, it's at Small Town Murder. So get on those. That said, Jimmie, hit me with the names of the people who would never, ever, ever throw baseball games and have us bet poorly on them. Jimmie, hit me with the list of these wonderful people right fucking now.
This week's executive producer, Jordan Bennett, Kyle Norweg. Again, thanks, Kyle.
You.
Caroline Moore, thank you so much. And Erica Magliacetti, thank you so much.
That's a great fucking name, Magliacetti. I love it.
Nailed it, if I do say. You sound like fucking pasta. All right, other producers this week.
I knew somebody with a last name like that.
Really? Magliacetti? That sounds delicious. Good
God. Girl in high school with that last name.
A little meat sauce, forget about it.
Put some. I'll have the. I'll have the. The al dente. Make the Magliacetti al dente. I like it better.
Does the Magliacetti have clams? I'll take the
that.
Clams. Yeah.
Other
producers this week are Liz Vasquez.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Liz Vasquez, Peyton Meadows, Jolly Green Giant, Tyler Fraser's music. I didn't look up what Tyler Fraser's music is, but I hope it's good. Janice Hill, Jessica Wegner. Aaron Olin is a construction worker, James. He owns his own construction company, and he's crushing it. Good for you, Aaron. Keep it up. Jack S. Ward, Kelly Fuller, Ayanna Harrison Riley, Mark Gichiro. Mark, you got a tough name. Holly Bostony. Holly Bostony. Ada Urbanek. James B. Stephanie Longhurst. Joshua Sharp. Jay Sisk. And Adam Hilsamer. Mary Fontana. Nate Gooden. Georgie Greco Navarra, A. Marie, Walter with no last name, Genevieve Klim, Brittany Plato, Carrie Kelly, Sam with no last name, Tatiana M., Amy Wyatt, Christina with no last name, Rich Franco, Andy with no last name, Maggie Leonardi, C, and the letter E right after it. Michael Brock, Erica Kennedy, John Mackey, Jess Nordfors, Darlene Sheets, Melissa Nelson, Kristen Birch, Michelle Johns, Melissa McLeod Clark, Michelle with no last name, Matthew Fisher, Robert Sabika, Sobecki. All right. Jenny Acevedo, Josh Hines, Natasha McCunney, that's what that is. DeGuera Cook, Bethany Wojtek, like Wojciech Wojciechowski. Justin Carrington.
Let's go, Manson.
It's the only Wojtek I know.
All of us went, hey, I know that one.
Angela McCullough Sherwood, Bob Miners, Odette Marie, Jody Stith, Lucy Shearer, Shan maybe, Ryan Foley, Texas Pete, Andrea Wagner, Bliss without the ESO. I don't know what that means. Greg Hodge, Pamela Easterbrook, Hillary Chip, Bree McNeil, Lupe Rodriguez Robinson, Regina Lawson, Hoosier Nurse. All right. Jamie Serrecchio, Ed Payne, Stephen Jacobs. Jorge M, BJ Wilford, Travis Traversy. Well, that's a tough one. How do they do that to
Parents
you, Travis?
did you wrong right there.
Traversy, son
Jesus.
of a bitch.
How many names have Trav as the first
You
four
can't
letters?
do that.
One? You said, let's give him that one. The
Let's
only
go Travis.
It's not like half the
John.
names are Travertine and Traveresque. It's not like those aren't names. One name.
Poor Travis.
Sorry,
Emily
Trav.
Matsumura. Matsumura.
Nice.
Good for you, Emily. Gabriel Quinner. Hannah with no last name. Andrea Lentine, Lenatini. Jill with no last name. Tracy Gamel. Gabe Benbrook, Scott Everett, Josh Bowe, Scott Mars, Kara Moreland, Caleb with no last name, Scott Payton, Nova's dad, 308, Lord Lucifer, Callista Oberhelman, Sean Saratsky, Bristy, McIntyre, Flandog, 1999, Leah Williams, Kim with no last name, Ethan Chervany, Kyler Hoover, Nancy Hale Minix, Joe G, Deborah with no last name, Jessica Deerfield, Megan Conklin, Steph with no last name, Leslie Lick, Morgan Fraser, Dana C, Natalie with no last name, Heather A. Worley, Sandy with no last name, Sheila Scarrington, Sheila Scarrington, Sheila, who does
now
that?
You're cooking.
Lisa G, Krista with no last name, Lana Vuli, Courtney Engler, Mickey Friesen, Kathy M, Bethany Lovett, Kyle Domizio, is that right? Angel Scruggs, Amy Cornett, Piper T, Piper H, that's what that is. That's
All
not
the
even
Pipers.
a T, it's an H.
Oh,
Dan
I thought
Trotter,
there was two Pipers.
no, just one. Ashley Dahlia, Nicole Faulkner, Oh Mom 43, Devin Abernathy, Brittany Britton. Again, what? Why would you do it? There's only one name. It starts with Britt.
It's the only one. It's fucking A, man.
Alan with no last name. John Bentley, Bobby with no last name. Jay with no last name. Marissa Rice, Cat with no last name. That could be the Williams. Dara Noel,
Sure it is.
Kelly Sayers, Elizabeth Voles, Temple,
Let me tell
Jessica.
you something about this shit Patreon. Sorry.
These two white boys be up to some shit. Jessica Holmes. Bullshithunting.com. Carissa Scarola. Kayla with no last name. Jeremy Patrick Swayze O'Brien III. Joey Jojo Jr. Shabadoo. Alicia with no last name. Hadley Nair. Sarah Quartz. Austin Van Vleck. Mo and Dan and Vlux. And no, that's just Lux. And Jonesy. Olivia Zook. Nikki Sabaski. Ashley Nicole. Spencer Treese. Sarah with no last name, Aaron Niedzolakowski, and all of our patrons. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, so much. You wonderful, wonderful bastards. Jesus
You're
Christ,
wonderful.
You're tremendous.
Yeah.
We're hoping you enjoy the content.
Yeah.
You guys seem to like it. So awesome. We'll keep giving it out. And thank you for what you do for us. If you want to follow us on social media, shutupandgivememurder.com as the drop-down menu with all the links. Everything's on there. Yeah. Come hang out with us. Keep coming back every week. Tell your friends. Yeah. And live from the Crime and Sports Studios, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.